Welcome everyone to the promotion relegation games for your Umzansi Esports League Season 4, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. We are on day number 2, and today we will find out who's going to be the first 8 to secure themselves a spot in Umzansi Season 5. Speaking about today, let's take a look at the schedule and remind you, or at least show you, the new bracket we should be expecting today, because it's slightly different to your usual programming. Normally we're looking at 3 maps, but today we are looking at 4. As we like to refer to it, the grinder this weekend has absolutely been putting everyone to the test, and today it will be a new set of teams who will be put through it. So 4 maps, starting off with Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, then right back to Erangel will be the system for today. So 4 opportunities for these teams to pick up some points. And speaking about, why should they be picking up points, and what is this about eight teams going through to Umzansi? Let's take a look at that bracket to explain to you what exactly you should be expecting from this weekend. Of course, it is the promotion relegation bracket that we had previous seasons as well, but let me take you through it. So yesterday, we had Group C and D go head-to-head, and we found the first top 8 teams to not go through to Umzansi, but to go through to Sunday's games. And for today, for the first time, there are 8 active Umzansi Season 5 slots up for grabs. So the top 8 from today will go through directly to Umzansi Season 5, with the bottom 8 facing the 8 from yesterday that actually managed to get it through. So it's a little bit confusing, but don't worry, we'll be rehashing it through the evening and make sure that you know exactly what is happening. Speaking about the teams, speaking about the players, let's actually go through some of the team introductions and show you some of the teams that have come through, not only from Inkosi, but also from Umzansi. Now, we've mentioned this before. The bottom 16 teams come through from Umzansi, and the top 16 teams come through from Inkosi. So Inkosi is our little qualification cup. We have a cup every single week. They come back week after week after week, and they really have to battle it out. So let's talk about the first group A. Patchy, as our resident Umzansi expert, a few names here that stick out to us, right?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, basically every single one of these teams, has something to be said about them. Although, of course, we have to talk about 7AOK and Solo Esports as probably the 2 teams that maybe we expect a little bit more out of. But I think even just to say Young Thunder, Rainbow Six, Rain from Hell, Fear, and Team Somalia are definitely not teams that you could scratch off the board. I mean, we talk about Team Somalia; they were doing really well in the first, in the first leg of the season. And the same could be said about 7AOK and Solo, and it was kind of a surprise to see them get relegated at the end of round number 2 in our season 4. But it is what it is. It happens. You can start off with a bang, but ultimately, if your fuse is short, then yeah, you're gonna fall
Mm.
off, and that's what we were talking about a little bit yesterday. Of course, that's going to prove true again today because, as you of course saw, that grinder, as we like to call it, those 4 maps is going to really send these teams through and then actually take them through their paces. So they have to be prepared to go through the gauntlet. And of course, as you mentioned, the top 8 teams from today get that automatic promotion. So I mean, that's huge already. So there's some serious slots up for grabs, and these teams they're not down and out just yet. There's a lot of potential for them to get back up and try again because I really think that these teams gave us a showing that we need to see a little bit more of. I don't think they're ready to go out. With that performance that we saw in round 1, they have to have more to offer.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, those are just the teams from Umzansi. Of course, you'll see there's an extra Inkosi team in there. So we only have 7 of those Umzansi teams up against technically 9 Inkosi teams. So, I mean, again, that's just another slot potentially that could go the way of Inkosi. Now, Viper, as our resident Inkosi expert, of course, we've got Raptors on this page, but let's take a look at Group B as well and start going through some of the teams that we've seen this season from Inkosi. So, take us through it. Who are some of the teams that stick out on this page, and of course, Raptors from the previous page?
Yeah, looking at this page of Inkosi teams right now that just came out of Inkosi into the promotion relegation stage, I must say the Umzansi teams right here have got their work really in front of them because the teams like Undisputed Africa, Esports, IB7, BBCx have been consistent back to back, week after week, through the 8 weeks to actually come to get into this promotion relegation stage. And a team like BlackJack Esports, who only got into Inkosi about week 4 and still made it up into this promotion relegation stage, does speaks a lot about their performance and how well they are going to be handling the maps today. Then TenX Esports, oh, definitely they are going to bring in some fire, some fights, not to underrate the guys from Underrated Esports as well. They will be bringing a lot of their best, and I would love to see majority of the teams out here from Inkosi, getting that promotion into Umzansi right now.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking about how they can do it, speaking about these 4 maps and these 4 opportunities to actually get themselves into the top 8 slots, let's take a look at the point structure just to remind everyone of how exactly they actually do pick up these points. Of course, it is Battle Royale, so we talk about the bread and butter of Battle Royale, and that's placement points and kill points. Now, placement points can only get you so far. You can see that the maximum placement points you can get are 15 points, and that's if you come first in your map, and you've got 4 opportunities to do so. If you want to extend that, if you want to actually get more than those 15 points, that's going to come through with your kill points. So every single kill that your team grabs, you get awarded an extra point. And we've seen time and time again before where teams did not do so well in terms of placement, but they make up for it in terms of those kill points because they're very active. They go looking for the fights and they go looking for engagements that they can win. Of course, that's where the difference comes in, is they need to be able to pick fights that they can win. So when we talk about it today, this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the balance between these teams. How do they handle that? How do they handle the pressure, of course? Because all of a sudden, it's not for the Umzansi teams. They're not playing against the usual Umzansi teams that they've been used to. For the Inkosi teams, I feel like they should be a little bit more prepared in terms of the utter randomness, of the teams that you're facing, because that's what they've been through for the last, 8 weeks within the season. They've been facing random teams every single day. So maybe they will be a little bit quicker to adapt, or maybe it'll be the Umzansi teams from their experience. We saw that yesterday, Patchy, where the first game came through, and we were expecting a little bit of nerves. We were expecting a little bit of anxiety between the teams because it's a lot of pressure to deal with. And that first game came through, and I believe it was only 2 to 3 teams from Umzansi that were actually on that first page. And at the end of that day, it was 5 teams. It looked a little bit different, not for the usual Umzansi folk.
Well, I'd like to just say that as for today, if you think the amount of Umzansi teams were lacking yesterday, then today you better keep your eyes peeled because we're about to see a lot of Umzansi teams go back to Umzansi.
Yeah, so let's actually take the teams through that. So yesterday, out of those 16 teams, either from Umzansi or Inkosi, it was the bottom half that were actually taking part. Today, it is the upper half taking part, both the best from Inkosi and the best that didn't make it into the finals from Umzansi. So these are teams that have been competing with the best of the best going through to the finals in Umzansi and didn't quite make it. They didn't quite qualify for Umzansi finals, which is why they are finding themselves in promotion relegation. It's not because they're bad whatsoever. It's because they were actually pretty good. They just needed those extra few points. I mean, 7 AOK as a prime example. I think they were, 2 points difference from actually making it into the finals in 17th place. So they're definitely a team that we should be watching out for today. So I concur with you. If we were worried about Umzansi teams yesterday, today we might not have to worry about it. But of course, they're facing, an unfamiliar opponent. These are teams that they have not been facing. So, I mean, Viper, from your side, how as someone who comes from Inkosi, you've seen this week after week after week. How are teams supposed to, handle that?
Well, looking at as the Inkosi teams have been able to, handle themselves quite well for the past 8 weeks. Definitely they would be able to, bring it up odds again. Against the guys from Umzansi and get back up to par as well.
Exactly that, and hopefully we'll be seeing the Umzansi teams be able to do that today. So, Patchy, from your side, are you sticking with your Umzansi teams? Are you going to be backing them today?
Absolutely. I think that definitely, you were talking earlier about adaptation and the Inkosi teams and whatnot. I'm just going to remind you real quick that the adaptation that's going to have to come through from the Inkosi teams is the Inkosi teams adapting to the Umzansi teams format. All right, that's all I'm saying about that. The Umzansi team's about to drop in here, make some things happen, and it's the other teams that are going to have to make way around them and adapt and overcome the absolute bastion that could come through. Because I have to remind you that we were talking about 7 AOK and Solo, how they were able to perform in round 1 of season 4, and right now this is the bracket format that you can see on your screen here. it's not a long range format that, like the season 4 of Mzansi, right? This is a quick shot format. Sure, we're having 4 maps, so it's a little bit longer than the normal cycle, but it's still ultimately a 1 day event. This is not a multi-week event right here. This is a promotion relegation. This is only 3 days, and of course now is the only time that they're having this fight. So it really is more of a quick burst of rounds, one after the other. And we've already seen 7AOK and Solo Esports thrive in that environment. So, as far as I'm concerned, we should be seeing them just going right back to square one to be able to spar back in season 5. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, that's what we're about to see right now. If we see something different, then I think I'll be a little bit surprised.
Well, Pachi, need I remind you that Inkosi teams, they have to qualify to actually play that last game every single week, which is it's not really easy to do though.
Exactly that. That's what I was a little bit alluding to. For the Inkosi teams, they have to play. I mean, they have one shot essentially to get into those Inkosi games every single week coming back. So I think they might be a little bit more accustomed. And we spoke about this yesterday as well from Iro. They might be a little bit more accustomed to that sort of pressure. So they might be able to start off on a better foot because they're, a little bit used to it. But the Mzansi teams have the experience at the end of the day. They face off the best of the best every single week. They've been playing a lot of games themselves, a lot more than what the Inkosi teams have. So I mean, when we talk about experience, it's chalk and cheese, comparing these two leagues. But
Or is it?
maybe there's an opportunity for the Inkosi teams to start off on a good foot. It's just about if they can hold that consistency.
Mm-hmm. You're missing one important factor though, S Proxy.
And
You
what's
see,
that?
you haven't got your statistically inspective glasses on like
Where
I
are they?
have,
Come on, come on, come
right?
on.
I've
Give us
I've
the
been
goggles.
busting them out over the last few days, and I can tell you've forgotten a very critical, important element.
Mm-hmm.
7AOK and Solar Esports both are teams that promoted from Inkosi before season 4. So they have Inkosi experience very, very recently as well, and the Umzansi experience for season 4 in rounds 1 and 2.
It's exactly that. I was waiting for you to bring it up, but you didn't until now. So, speaking about it, 7AK and Solar Esports also massive, massive teams that made a huge statement. I think Solar Esports, started the season off with a huge statement of their own, then fell off towards the end of the season. And 7AOK in the semi-finals, my goodness gracious, it was looking at a completely different team. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too late to do so because, as you mentioned, it was 1 point difference. If they had picked up that point somewhere else, then maybe it would have been a different story. But they can't control how well the other teams play, and of course, RNG comes into play in battle royales. You don't always have things in your control. You can only do so much. So I do think this is redemption for them to showcase that, listen, they still have it. They're going to come back in season 5 and they're going to take it this time around. And Solar Esports also, they have something to prove to you, Patrick, because you've been a big fan of them ever since they jumped in. So I know in the back of your mind, you're hoping, you're waving the Solar Esports flag and hoping that today they show you that same sort of energy and explosiveness that we know they can give us. But the plane is locked and loaded. I'm going to hand it over to your amazing casters. It is Patchy, it is Viper to take you through the action today. Day number 2 of the promotion relegation games. Guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, S Proxy. You're absolutely right. There's a lot to be proven here today on the proving grounds that is this absolute grinder of a series today. We have 4 maps. We're going to start on Erangle. We're going to end on Erangle. And of course, this is map number 1. And we've got quite a low down flight path heading over from just south of Lipovka all the way to that west coast down to the south next to Primorsk. So we've got a bit of a low down flight path. I'm going to expect to see a couple of drops down towards that military island. Otherwise, I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. Otherwise, we're going to have all the teams drop down and get themselves ready. And we will see who is going to step up and take us to play tonight. Is it going to be the Inkosi teams? Is it going to be the Umzansi teams? I'm not sure. But right now, that's what we're about to find out. And I do think that there is a lot on the line today. There's a lot of prizes up for grabs, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to be a lot more inclined towards the Inkosi team because I've seen what they've brought. I've actually been following the Umzansi League as well, and I've seen that majority of the guys out here playing today are actually not bad teams. They're like really good teams as well. But I feel like the Inkosi teams would be able to night. And that's going to be the very first one popping up right now, which is going to be a really weird one. In the I've seen something like this.
Yeah, it's the zones have been a little bit more difficult this weekend, so it's good to see that the theme is continuing. I'm very keen to see if these Inkosi teams live up to the expectations here, because you're giving me some pretty high expectations right now. You say they can match the teams shot for shot, and I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I know for sure that these teams can definitely dish out the shots. So we will have to wait and find out. It does look like we've got a couple of drops on that military island, which makes me very, very happy. So those teams are going to be accumulating a couple of Apache points in their pocket. Of course, non-redeemable, nothing you can do with them. But, I love you if you have more Apache points. So there it is. We'll just have to wait and see what they can do with it, though. We have some drops up in towards Yasnaya and Mansion as well. Nice little concentration of teams up in that direction. It looks like we've got quite a few teams off towards the eastern bridge between the island and the mainland. And then it looks like a lot of teams decided to drop down into that southwest area. And that's actually pretty good for them. They're very much in the middle of zone at the moment. So I'm wondering now if we're going to see them dig in and see if they can go for the long run, or if they're actually going to go look for fights, maybe.
One thing I've learned with PUBG over the years is whenever you have a zone like this and player distribution comes, and like the full, almost a lot of the squads are going down south away from like right now the northern part is completely unloaded. This zone is most likely going to be popping towards that Georgia axis, forcing a lot of these teams to, coagulate and move towards that another part. But a team that is quite smart on this one probably has the experience. Probably a few of the Umzansi team would have been able to, read that and possibly make their a bit northward. That is what I would have done if I were happened to be in this case. To just try and be on the safe side at the moment.
All right, that's definitely possible. We could see the zone just popping off towards the north. We'll have to wait and see at the moment. Todoroki making his way across the road. He might just get caught out by a player who is waiting in. He's lying down in the ditch, and he just pops up and takes Todoroki down, gets that first in nice and quick, fellas. Just popping out of nowhere, a little bit of an ambush there, and it completely works out. So already they have lost a player there. I believe that was Rainbow Six, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they've lost a little bit of manpower there, but it's not the end of the world. We'll still have to wait and see what they can pull. And if they're going to be able to pull a little bit of a fast one, come back from that particular loss. But for now, it's a little bit quiet. We'll just have to wait and see. It looks like we do have a Team Somalia, moving up in towards that George area. So they're making use of that that open space that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's actually I feel like they landed around Rozok and then decided to just take a vehicle and gun it all the way to Jojopo. They must have read that flight path really good because it was a flight path that was restricting majority of the team to come down south, which is why you see a couple of teams accruing their Apache points over in the military right there. And yeah, that bridge is also going to be seeing a beehive of activities in a few because we can see Fear Esports is going to be moving up. I think YT is also in that axis. TBS, the bot squad, might also be coming towards that direction in a few minutes as well. So definitely, this map is about to pop. The action is about to go on in every single corner as each of the teams are getting busy, cracking their weapons and trying to get that ammo at the moment. So yeah, Pachi, do you have any favorites right now in this map?
I must say, I actually think that despite what we've been talking about in terms of, Umzansi versus Inkosi teams and whatnot, I actually really think that BlackJack might have quite a good chance. As far as I'm aware, they are at the very least quite a high-class team. And if I'm not mistaken, some of the players on that team have been pretty high in the leagues of Umzansi. So I do expect
Yes.
that they will be able to pull off something at least impressive on these games today. I'm not sure if I could say that they're favorites necessarily, because I do think that there are some teams that are being rooted for in the chat there. I did see a couple of teams' names getting dropped. I do think BlackJack definitely has a chance, but I have to say, I think Esproxy hit the nail on the head. I'd like to see Solo Esports thrive a little bit, and I'd like to see 7AOK get through as well. If I can just spot them on the map here, you can see Solo up in Naya. I'm not spotting out 7AOK, but in any case, it would be nice to see them getting through, because I really do, and just to echo what Esproxy was talking about, they really did barely get relegated, and it was such a close game for them, and they just weren't able to get the points they were looking for. And I think maybe they deserve a second shot. So yeah, I'd like to see them get through for sure.
Yeah, seeing as I am coming from Inkosi myself, I would tend to also give favoritism to a few of the teams out here from Inkosi. But I must say, in season 3 or season 4, as you mentioned earlier on, I was able to witness a bit of 7 since AOK, and it was fantastic, I must say. And if the team still carries the same fire in them, then definitely today's match is going to be a wonder for them, because they would be able to pull off some, really nice performance into this game. And yeah, we can see teams like IB7 over the past 8 weeks have actually given a lot of interesting plays. Like, they've given some really advanced, experienced gameplay out there. And I believe out of the few weeks they've been able to practice a lot more and get themselves up to par. And they've always tried to, like, they will always continue to try to, like, themselves moving forward into Umzamzi.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, and if that preparation pays off. At the moment, you can see the teams are slowly moving inwards to get across that line as that blue zone is closing on in. I do see that there's a couple of teams towards that bridge, and we have zoomed in on that particular scenario. We've got Fear, who is doing a bit of bridge camping here, and we're about to wait and see if RPT is going to fall for this trap. They are slowly making their way across. They do realize that they need to probably find a way to get across to the mainland, since that's where the zone is likely headed. They just have to find a way to get across safely. They've got a bit of a 2-2 split, so they're not hard committing to anything just yet, which is a good sign. They're not just trundling down the bridge with, absolutely no ability to, scout ahead. So they've at least slowed that down a little bit, and they're not just going full steam ahead just yet. But they do have a team right behind them that is also on the approach, so they do have to be careful of getting sandwiched here between Fear and the other team.
Yeah, it's sort of some sort of like a double bridge. Oh, nice one. A double bridge camp coming up right now. You can see RPT giving that bridge camp onto the bot squad, and right behind them there is yet another team just sitting and waiting for them to come into this one. I could see a bit of sandwich, as you said earlier on, and this is Patchy, I must say, this is why I would never try to get some Patchy points if I were to be playing this game, because that that Suzluvka military base island is a really tough one to get out of, especially if you have teams, getting ahead of you and getting onto that bridge. It's going to waste a lot of your time trying to make rotations in. You might lose some mates, lose some players along the line, which is definitely not what you want at this time of the game, because every single player counts.
The most precious things in life require the biggest risk, and that's why patchy points are so difficult to get. In any case, we'll have a look and see the bot squad is making their rotate out here in the blue zone. They've decided not to try and press through, and just going to fare rather with the blue zone, which is probably a better decision considering that this bridge camp is looking a little bit too thick to get through. RPT, they do have the ability to stay inside the zone for now, but Fear, they've realized that they can just sit here and wait, and somebody is bound to cross that bridge, or at least start to try and cross over the mainland in the next few moments, at least as the zone closes through. So they're just waiting to see if RPT are actually going to make that decision and rotate across, or if they're going to also try and rotate through that blue zone and try and go around to the other side. In any case, they're going to have to, at some point, get across this bridge or across the lake. And well, once that happens, they're going to be exposed. So they've really got to make a tough decision here. I think that earlier decision from the bot squad to make that rotate through the buggies across in the blue zone. Probably a good idea. Now, RPT, they have decided to just gather down towards the bottom here. It looks like they might go for a swim. This could be a little bit dangerous here, but I mean, it's got to be done.
Yeah, at this point, swimming is really dangerous, but I feel like they would be okay because it doesn't seem like we've got the guys from Fear looking actively for them. They're just like holding a position and not making too much of movements out there. Probably they are just hoping that RPT will be using their vehicles up onto the bridge. But swimming at this point is also really, really, really dangerous and delicate because one if one of Fear Esports spots them in that water, that is just going to be them getting fished easily. It's just going to be a fishing season for Fear Esports. They'll just, get all around them and probably just pick them one after the other out of the water. But we can see a lot of the teams are already trying to get a lot more centered position. And my earlier prediction going towards Dodgeable doesn't seem to come to pass in this one.
Yeah, that zone is a fickle thing. It is very difficult to predict. I stopped attempting to predict the rotations of that zone seasons and seasons ago. You'll see it like in season 1, I was trying to see like maybe it's gonna go here, maybe it's gonna go there. Yeah, once season like 2 came around, I was like, nah, I ain't even gonna try anymore. It's too unpredictable. It's too crazy.
Yeah,
I'm convinced that the blue
completely.
zone listens to us secretly and reads our thoughts and just goes wherever we think it's not gonna go. So
And the funny part is these zones, whenever you think about them going somewhere, but you don't say it out, it actually does go there. But
uh
the moment you say something about it, then it goes the completely other direction.
We're uncovering the secret conspiracy of PUBG Mobile Blue Zones. This is the truth, lads. Listen, whatever you do, do not let it know where you want it to go. Don't let it know, otherwise it's going to disappoint you. In any case, all these teams are now going to be squashed down towards the coastline. And of course, that western bridge. And you can see some of the fights are already breaking out. UES putting a few hits in. Bipolar going to go down. You can see we have a Young Thunder just across the way in this compound. UAE is just over the hill. Could potentially make a little bit of noise, start a bit of a fight, or maybe they'll just sit tight and wait for that blue zone to close up. In again, these teams are going to be running out of space very very soon. But the fact that we haven't had any big eliminations means that there's going to be even less space for all these teams, just because of the sheer volume of teams that need to fit themselves inside the safe zone.
Yeah, it's still a complete set of teams, maybe one or two players out of the game, and zone three looking really tiny and clogged at the moment. It's going to be a tough one for a lot of the teams that are out of the zone, well, except the teams on the edge get distracted and they're able to fight their way in, which I've seen BJE do a couple of times, as well as the guys from UAE as well. So we would love to see how they will be handling themselves in this one, as Fear Esports is looking to take a couple of shots off into the distance. It does seem like they were actually able to spot RPT, but did not react to that one in time. So RPT will be getting out of that one without too much damage. Although just RPT Fear is taking a bit of damage off in the distance from Orc, which is quite expected, but he's not been able to actually finish up the job at the moment.
Yeah, right now we're just waiting to see which fights are going to be the most deadly. You can see the teams are trying to spread out just a little bit and make sure that they're not getting too close. But that's not going to last too long. We're heading in towards zone number 4, so things are about to get very close and very uncomfortable for a lot of the teams. Looks like that DP is doing a lot of damage, and Diag's going to make sure that the damage is going through to his opponents. Start putting some damage across, putting the hits in. But that's going to have to start happening for just about every team on the board right now, because we still have 16 teams. We've got 59 players left on the board. That's way too many teams still alive for my liking.
Yeah, it's a lot of teams, and this is what happens when you have like a really really goal. You have like a massive goal to accomplish at this moment, because every single team out here knows they must not mess up, so they are taking it really really carefully. As you can see, it does seem like UAE right now is already getting a couple of shots into this one. Their positioning, I wanted to mention something about it earlier on, that it's a really tough spot to hold, because there are too many angles in which other teams could approach them from. But it does seem like UAE is quite an experienced team, and they've been handling themselves the likes of Sahil, Inspector. Yeah, definitely. I feel like they would be able to hold this particular position quite well, but they might get overwhelmed as the game proceeds. You can see 7 out of killing is also not a team you want to overlook at this point, Pachi.
Yeah, Undisputed AE is a team that we are familiar with. We've seen them before, and I definitely agree with you. They are a capable team. They can certainly make things happen. You've seen 7 AOK roll up on the position. They got a little bit of damage done, but ultimately we're able to get the reses through and make sure that they stay alive. They're going to have to try and bout it out with Undisputed AE, though. Manfila's going in for the res, and he should be able to secure that. Havoc, in the meantime, getting taken down by Yujiro. That's Solo Esports putting a few hits in of their own. So those numbers are starting to rack up, but we still haven't had any team eliminations. It is exactly like you were saying. These teams are just trying to play it as safe as possible, just trying not to mess up, not to get taken out, because they know they need every single point that they can get. Every point matters at this point in time. And if they mess up, if they just slide down that leaderboard, they lose out on a huge opportunity to promote up into Umzansi Season 5. So these guys really need to make sure they put the damage in, and indeed they will be finding it. You can see Inspector finding the DP, just throwing those bullets across towards enemies, and everyone is following suit at the moment. You can see that kill feed starting to absolutely light up. Strig's going to go down, Jelly going to go down. Everyone is just getting locked into a fight left, right, and center, and that is to be expected as we are moving in towards zone number 5. However, we can still see that there are plenty of teams left. There is just so many teams on the board that the fights will continue for the considerable future.
Yeah, the fight is just about to happen. It's just going to really pop. By the time the next zone comes up, the fight is pop, and the fireworks are going to be going left, right, and center. As you can see, majority of these teams are just set up to find their way into wherever that next zone is going. But I must say, I love the position that young Thundercats have got right now. The YT team, they've got a compound somewhere there. If they could actually get the zone coming towards their position, it would be a really, really great one for them to defend. But the little setup we've got for UAE out here, I can see they actually, but it does shows that they've done their own work, and they are quite used to the layout of Erangel right there, and they're actually maximizing the use of the little dips and hills here and there over in Erangel.
Yeah, that is really the skill when it comes to Erangel, and you can see these teams are definitely seasoned. They know what they're doing here. They know what is happening on this map. They're familiar with all of these nooks and crannies. They know that they can use all of these angles to their advantage, and they're doing exactly that. Kavira putting in a few shots there. 7 AOK looking to rack up some of those kill points for themselves. Undisputed AE moving forward, and we get a very nice picture of quite a number of teams that are absolutely pinned down in this field, and they are outside of the safe zone right now. They have 25 seconds to sort this mess out before they have to start heading in, and that blue zone becomes a heck of a problem. You can see Rick's on the back line making a little bit of a problem, but all of these teams have a bit of a crossfire going. Some shots are flying as well. Things are not going to be easy for any of these teams. The first team that tries to make a dash for it is going to be under some serious fire. In fact, he's just going to go for it. He's just going to try and push right into Team Solo. That's a bad idea.
Wow.
He's by himself, and he is going to feel the problems right into his HP. He's just going to get down right in the middle of the field, and he's separated from the rest of his team. Not too sure what kind of a decision that was, but it certainly hasn't turned out well.
Yeah, but he's been able to actually pull up his vehicle to a position there, maybe not in a perfect position, but if he had gone directly for that spot, maybe he would have been able to hold that spot and send a couple of his teams forward, because staying in that position where the rest of the team is at the moment is a really, really tough one, because when the zone pops up, they are going to have to fight the zone as well as the enemies right in front of them, which is something you don't want to do right now. And well, I believe a lot of the teams out here will learn their lesson from this moving on in the next games of today, and I will probably try to be a bit more proactive, earlier on in the game to avoid having to, get stuck outside the zone or trying to find a way into the zone. Because as from this moment on, the teams left alive are going to be dropping like seconds, Pachi.
Yeah, they certainly will be dropping like seconds. I like that saying quite a lot. I think I'm going to use that in the future again. But indeed, we will be watching those seconds drop. We'll be watching those players drop, and we'll be watching these fights happen. Swag's going to go down. We see Solo trying to find some of those stragglers up on the other side, doing a little bit of gatekeeping here because they've got the zone in their favor. We see an Elam coming through. We're down to 11 teams finally. You can see Muzz and Fear trying to move across. Oh, but I'm not too sure if this is a good position here. Solo, they just got all the angles. They're just waiting for those teams or those players to be exposed, and they just pick up those shots, get the damage in. And right now, all of these teams are under some serious pressure. Muzz has to hit the deck, trying to get those nades popped as well. Both of these players just on the floor. Fear has to get picked up here. I'm not too sure if they're going to make it at this stage. The blue zone's coming in. It's dealing a lot of damage. Indeed, Fear is going to get taken out. And as soon as Muzz repositions, all that damage goes straight into his face. You can see he's like 10 HP. And Solo getting exploded out of
Wow.
existence. Goodbye, sir. Muzz will stay alive, but just barely. Going to be trying to crawl through the grass and get some of that HP back. Samurai and Yujiro are the last two players left. Diags and of course Bjorn getting taken out super quickly with that explosion. Samurai gets tagged down to quite low HP. 10 teams remaining now, 29 players left alive. But look at that zone. Nobody's inside. Everyone's on the outskirts. This is going to be a border fight.
Yeah, this is where we get to see a lot of those soft obstacles right now, which I like to call that's smokes I'm referring to, the soft obstacles. It doesn't save you from getting shot, but it saves you from getting seen. So if you have a player out there knowing the general area where you are, you could just spray in there trying to hoping to get an hit marker right now. But we can see right now about 10 teams left of alive, but right in our view, we've got the guys from IB7, BlackJack Esports, Solo, and the boss squad right in that circle. The strongest of the strongest fighting it out, just trying to survive right now as the zone is going to be slowly closing in onto their positions. And in this particular point right now, 768 of killing has rotated into that point and trying to assault the team that is holding that compound. It's quite interesting to see that the team is being able to actually hold them back. We've got some really strong teams in this lobby.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And we just watched BlackJack push straight up into Solo. Solo getting eliminated by BlackJack. But now they're stuck in the middle of the smoke in the same place where Solar Esports was. And they're about to get pushed in the same way. In the meantime, 7 AOK going up against Young Thunder. You can see Snake Eyes on the side trying to help out Adonis. Kaviri getting taken down in the meantime as 7 AOK continues to try to survive here. They've got some numbers working for them, but they have to keep themselves alive here. They can't let those numbers drop. Otherwise, they're going to be in a very, very bad position. You can see those nades absolutely flying. BlackJack staying alive and actually winning the fight as well. These guys just showing their experience here and coming out on top of that one despite in a very, very bad situation. I was about to say BlackJack might not be able to survive that, but they have so far at least. For the time being, UAE is now rolled up into the same compound as Young Thunder and 7 AOK. They're about to join the party, and Snake Eyes spots one out, puts the hits in towards Inspector, tries to find Sahil, but the smokes go down immediately to try and obscure that vision. Mista getting taken down as well. He also gets burned alive by that Molotov. 8 teams remaining now, 20 players left alive, and the zone's about to get a whole lot smaller.
Yeah, it's getting smaller second by second right now, and Young Tongdakat and 7 scenes out of killing still going up at it. The Uzis are out, the AKMs are out, prioritizing damage, prioritizing speed of weapons, but right out there we can see that is going to be 7 scenes out of killing going to be winning that one right there with a bit of support coming in from underrated esport. But underrated esport has picked up the sense that 7 scenes out of killing is definitely in that direction, and will be looking to pick up a couple of kill points from that one as well. But 7 scenes out of killing has got a lot of work to do right now, because coming out of that compound is going to be difficult with a lot of guns pointed towards their direction. We've got 2 solos up right now just on the other side of this map. That's going to be King and Cheddar looking to just stay out here for as long as possible before they will be forced to make their way into the zone. I think Cheddar is already preparing to gear up, giddy up, and get into that zone. As you can see, the smokes, the woolly smokes already coming out. But the man that is amazed, his play is currently amazing right now, is Moss. He's just right there beside. Oh man, I just I jinxed this one.
Cast a curse. Oh, unlucky. Poor Muzz. Just as you start talking about him, he just gets taken down. And now, speaking of getting taken down, Inspector gets taken down by 7 AOK, who have 2 players remaining. King now going to fall to Kavira. We've got Cheddar. He's the last remaining solo player here. It's 2 players from 7 AOK. All 4 of UES players still alive. They have got the player advantage. They've got the best foot forward right now in this final zone.
Full squad up in this kind of zone, that is next level. Being able to hide away from gunfights right there. But they've actually been able to keep themselves up to this moment. So definitely moving forward, they should be able to get some shots into this one. We can see everyone going into the snake mode right now, trying to find that pixel out of place, trying to just make sure they are the one on top. That winner chicken dinner is quite important, as well as some more kill points on this one. Drip is going to be moving forward a little bit too close, maybe close enough to spot some of the guys from 17 out of killing BJ. Each other is just off in a distance, hoping to see if he could catch 1 or 2 points in this one. I won't be shocked if BJ each other actually ends up, getting a really, really good chunk of kills out of this one, Pachi.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised either. At this point, we just have to wait and see if Cheddar gets spotted out here, because he can certainly do some damage by himself. AOK have a little bit of a chance here. If Manfilas and Kavir can spot out Drip, maybe they have a chance to take down the rest of UES, but it's going to be a bit of a stretch. It's going to be a tough one. The man advantage is definitely in the favor of UES, and they are putting those shots across, trying to find us. A couple of them. Drip actually losing a lot of HP. Manfilas just spraying through the grass, hoping to try and find that player he knows is up ahead of him somewhere. He just has to land a few more shots, and it's going to be a confirm. Manfilas taking a lot of damage from a nade. The nades have started to fly from UES. They know the pressure is on. They know they have the man advantage, but they don't want to lose it. They don't want to just throw it away. They want to make sure they use it and utilize what they've been giving. And there it is. The shots go in towards Manfilas. This should be the connected. It is. They confirm that kill onto Kavira as well and pick up the last few. Cheddar is going to be able to secure himself the second position, at least, for BlackJack. But ultimately, in a 1v4, I'm not too sure if he can make anything more happen. Ultimately, that should be the end of the game. Drip is doing the flank. Cheddar is just too crowded, too many angles to watch. A 1v4 is impossible at that point, but good job at least for making it up into that second place. And of course, a considerable amount of kills in the pocket of both UES and BlackJack, and even 7 AOK.
11, that's 8. Yeah, 11 kills, 8 kills. It shows a lot that these teams out here, they are not here to play, man. They've brought the fire, they've brought their best, and I hope they keep consistent like this, for the remaining part of the game. Sanhok, Miramar, and Erangel again, yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. And that was what we were seeing yesterday, where the consistency became a huge critical component of success. I have to agree. I want to see some consistency coming out from these teams again. Definitely good to see 7AOK up in the top 3. And as I mentioned, BlackJack as well, definitely a contender, somebody who has that Umzansi experience. Basically, in my eyes, they're 1-to-1 with an Umzansi team. So if they win, Umzansi teams win. So my prediction rates remain at 100%.
Twisting the story again, Patchy. Twisting the story again. Goodness. Either way, we need to celebrate. If any Inkosi team makes it here today, then they absolutely deserve it. Coming through from Inkosi into Umzansi is no easy feat. Let me tell you, to watch these teams come back week after week after week, it's like they're having their own, promotion relegation grinder every single week. So it absolutely takes commitment and a lot of consistency to get to this point. But wow, first game, quite surprising. Viper, what did you think about that?
Yeah, actually, I wasn't too surprised about the outcome of this game, although I didn't put too much consideration into the guys from Underrated Esports. They really performed quite well today, being able to keep themselves up to that last moment, using the numbers to their advantage. And as well, BlackJack Esports, of course, being able to survive so well. This is one thing I always say with BlackJack Esports. They mostly end up with just one player in that last circle, and he just slugs it out and survive as long as he can. So definitely look moving forward. I hope to see more from a lot of the other Inkosi teams out here. And let's see how Pachi is going to get out of this one.
Yeah, I've actually coming through from the Inkosi season. You know, if you want to play with the best, you do need to work for it. And if you want to play with the best way to do that is to play in Umzansi. That is the Premiership here, especially for PUBG Mobile. The best in Africa are found there. So, do you think, from what you've seen so far, that there are Inkosi teams ready and waiting to make such a statement like we've seen 7AOK and Solar Esports do before in the previous season?
Mm, good
It,
question.
it's it is a very good question, I must say, because the dynamics of playing against completely new teams is way different from actually having to play over and over with the same set of people. So it depends on how well you are able to counter the new tactics that each of these teams are going to be bringing each time, because they do know how you are going to be playing, and so which means you always have to be on your toe, and that is not one thing they've been on their toes, yeah, but that is not one aspect they've actually been able to work on. They might have been bringing the same kind of tactics every single time because maybe some similarities between the games and it works for them. But in Unzamzi, every team is actively working every time to, counter the last tactics that you brought. So you have to be working at every point in time.
So, we're going to take a look at the standings. Patchy, keep that question in mind because I'm going to ask you again after we've had enough games as well. Because we've heard Viper now, he's got some experience himself. So, I want to hear your story later on. But for now, what I want to hear you tell me is about these standings. Please take us through it.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at those underrated esports, of course, coming away with that chicken dinner. 11 kills in the pocket, so 26 points total. BlackJack Esports grabbing out second place with a nice sneaky finish there for their cheddar player there. 11 kills as well for them, so they're going to get 23 points out of that. And then 7AOK, of course, coming in third position there with 18 points. So the double digits going all the way down into position number 4 with Fear, who did pick up 10 points in total. Then we've got BBCx in 5, UAE in 6, Solar Esports in 7, and Young Thunder in 8. Definitely some teams on this page that I'd like to see, crank up the energy just a little bit more, because I definitely know there's a lot more for these teams to offer. Just going back to what we saw from them in round 1 of season 4, I mean, there is a lot more explosivity that we can see from them. So the warm-up round is over. I want to see some more action coming out of these teams. But speaking of these teams, we're going to move on to that second page where IB7 sits in position number 9. We've got Rain from Hell in 10, the Bot Squad in 11, Raptors in 12, TenX in 13. We've got Team Somalia in 14, NGXP in 15, and Rainbow Six Madagascar in 16. I'd actually like to see a little bit more out of Team Somalia. It's kind of surprising to see them down in position number 14 with only 1 point for a kill that they picked up, because, I mean, I definitely recall Team Somalia being a whole lot more capable in the beginning of season 4.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, I've been a fan of theirs for a while, so it would hurt my heart severely to see them not come through after this weekend. But let's take a look at your MVP for that game. And of course, coming through from BlackJack Esports, it is Jadari there with 6 kills, 750 damage, and a total survival time of 26 minutes and 43 seconds. I mean, it's not really surprising, is it? But I mean, absolutely just doing the work there for their team. But that is the first game of the second day of the promotion relegation games done and dusted. Of course, we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we're going to head over to Sanhok, which is the absolute center of close quarter combat. So the action is just starting. We've got 3 more maps tonight, and that's just tonight. And tomorrow we've got another 4 maps. A lot of action this weekend. So I do think that you need to stay with us. I think that there's a lot that you want to be checking out. And of course, if you want more information about Nodwin Gaming Africa, the reason we are all here, then you best go check out their website at nodwingaming.africa. You can check out all the scores. You can check out, how it's been going with Umzansi, because next weekend it is the Umzansi Esports Finals for Season 4. So these are the promotion relegation games. We're going to see who's going to go through to Season 5. And next weekend, we're going to see who are the champions of Season 4, and they've got a weekend cut out for them as well. A lot of games that they need to get through to prove that they are the best in Africa. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the promotion relegation games for Umzansi Esports League Season 4. Now, we've just had the first map of the day done and dusted of the second day of this weekend. And again, I'm going to remind you, there's 8 slots up for grabs for Umzansi Season 4, Season 5, actually, today. So already today, we could have 8 teams heading through to Umzansi Season 4. Let's take a look at the leaderboard and check out what is happening, because this is going to be interesting. So, Underrated Esports currently in first place. Of course, we've only had one game, so for now, this is basically our big boy leaderboard. 26 points. BlackJack Esports with 23, and then it starts trickling down quite significantly. Patchy, take us through it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a different experience here today. We had a bit of a side zone on the western coast, and it suddenly, we had some predictions about it going north, and then it just suddenly went south, and everyone was forced in some difficult positions, but Underrated Esports coming out on top with some good numbers. Were able to keep all their players alive until the end, and that really worked in their favor. They picked up a nice chicken dinner there and 11 kills in the pocket. BlackJack Esports doing what they do, picking up the kills and managed to sneak their way up into second position. So ultimately coming away in second place as well. 7AOK picking up some good points for themselves as well as Fear hitting the double digits for themselves too. So a pretty good performance from our top 4 players, and then moving down not so far behind, at least BBCx picking up 8 points, UAE and Solar Esports picking up 7 points apiece, Young Thunder picking up 4 points for themselves. Of course, on the next page, the numbers start to drop considerably, and it is only the first game, so we'll see a little bit more coming out from them hopefully in the second game, but definitely I want to see a bit more coming out from these players here. Got some high expectations for the Inkosi teams, but I mean, I'd also like to see those Umzansi teams that we know and love also picking up the pace just a little bit, and I do presume that is going to happen. One of the things that we were talking about yesterday, and I think comes into play here just as strongly, is that consistency. These teams definitely want to remain consistent. It's not a case of, oh, you get a chicken dinner here and then you just drop off. Like if you want to get up, you want to make sure you promote, if you want to secure that spot and solidify it, you need to make sure that you consistently perform. Not necessarily consistent chicken dinners, but I mean, if you're getting top 3, top 4, even top 5, and you're getting a decent amount of kills every game, you're guaranteed to at least not be dropping down to the bottom. And that's what you're looking for ultimately at the end of the day. I mean, you can shine bright and go for that first position, really just show off and get that number 1 slot. But ultimately, if you make it up in the top 8, you're still good to go.
And we saw that yesterday. It was so close to the point that, that last game came through, and all of a sudden there were a few teams that really pulled in the points. But because they were consistent, they were only a few points away from actually making it into that first page and going through to Sunday's games. And that can happen here. But instead, the prize you will be receiving is an immediate spot in Umzansi Season 5. And trust me, that Umzansi prize pool is very different to the Inkosi prize pool. So, I mean, if the bragging rights alone aren't enough for you to be convinced that you need to get yourself into Umzansi, then, the kaching will be. Let's take a look and think about how we're going to look at Sanhok, right? Viper, close quarter combat. I'm expecting a lot of teams, to be quick on their feet.
Yeah, as I always say over here in Sanhok, if you fire a shot and you are still in that same position for more than 30 to 40 seconds, then you are definitely doing something wrong, because immediately you fire a shot, the whole map hears you and they are actively looking to see where that came from out there and how they could actually claim that kill for themselves. So teams right now in this particular map, I expect them to, be light on their feet, take fights really quickly. If you know you can't get to win or get that fight out of the way just in time, then you need to find a way to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Exactly that. I mean, I love Sanhok. It means that the teams have to be quick on their feet. They have to finish off their fights, as Viper said, as quickly as possible, because everyone can hear when you are taking a fight. And if you take too long, then you are inviting the third parties, the fourth parties, the fifth parties to just hang around and take the kills for themselves, and you might be one of them. So hopefully we'll be seeing the team staying super active, making sure that they are moving and rotating as quickly as possible. And of course, we always know quick rotations in PUBG Mobile do generally mean that we see those teams actually finding victory for themselves. But here it is. Sanhok is locked and loaded. So this is the time I give it over to our amazing casters. It's Patchy and Viper to take you through the action. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Proxy. Absolutely, it's map number 2, and we are going to see whether these teams can keep light on their feet, if they can get a move on, get those fights finished off in time. one of the things that I notice on this map quite regularly is exactly the opposite of that. If the teams fail to continue to, or they fail to finish off their fights, and they get caught up quite a lot. You know, they get caught out by the blue zone,
Yeah.
they get caught out by the rotations, they get caught out by the third parties. It happens more often than you might expect on a map like this. But indeed, we will see if these teams will pass that test or not. It certainly is going to be a difficult one. Hopefully, we've got a pretty easy starting zone, so the teams don't have to scramble too quickly. But I do assume that we're going to get a little bit of early fighting, because it looks like the teams are a little bit disheveled when it comes to those drops.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we might be seeing a few shots coming out from BlackJack Esports, as about two of them just landed straight with the players from Seven Sins Out of Killing. And yeah, that is going to be it. Cheddar right off the bat, and MG probably knows that there's someone off in the distance. And Maestro is all on his own in this one, except his teams decide to like pop around really quickly after they've gotten a weapon. And yeah, this is Sanhok. You snooze, you lose, bro. Anything can happen.
Absolutely, it certainly can, and Mista is about to find that out very quickly. He is getting surrounded and needs to call for some reinforcements if he wants to make this one out, because as you can see, there's two BlackJack players right up ahead of him, and behind them there's also a BlackJack player that is creeping in bit by bit, getting closer, and Mista needs to be careful that he doesn't get taken out from behind, because that's looking like what's about to happen. Cheddar just making sure that he's got some guns, got some loot. There's Zane going up tree by tree by tree, getting closer to Mista, who is now forced to, of course, push forward into that house to try and stay safe. For the time being, Zane is hot on his trail, though, and we'll see if Mista gets to stay alive here, because Zane is definitely pushing up, intending on taking this fight, and I want to see it.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm not sure if Zane is completely aware of the fact that okay, now he knows, because the way he was moving in there, he probably knows that he's inside the building. And oh, wow, Maestro was actually able to handle himself, but the sheer numbers of the guys from BlackJack Esports is going to overwhelm him and take him straight down, while Cheddar is going to hold the rest of the squad, at bay, just giving them that cover fire, like, no, nobody pushes here, I'm in charge, I'm on guard, bro. Nobody's coming to save this man right there. It's going to be out of this one. And straight back to the lobby, into the ears of his teammates right now. Seven Sins Out of Killing in this early game, already losing a player. And I think now would actually be a good time for them to just back off this particular position and try and get some more loot and positioning at this point, Apache.
Yeah, that was definitely an unfortunate start for 7AOK. Their one teammate missed it. There was a little bit too far out, and obviously the rest of his team couldn't come and assist him. And you were right, BlackJack just on guard. They're making sure that no assistance could be given whatsoever. So I agree. 7AOK definitely need to just drop off of this one. No reason to take the fight there. Especially at a disadvantage. When you've got less players and also the enemy team has the compound in control. Definitely no reason to press the attack on that one. So a good decision from 7AOK just to turn around and get out of that position. Now, of course, as they do that, they are heading slowly in towards a boot camp where we do find Team Somalia currently residing. So maybe they will try and inch their way into that particular position and try and contest for it. I guess we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, it does look like a player from BlackJack there did decide to rotate downwards towards Cave and Inspector, just picking them up, taking them out there. So that's a little bit of an unfortunate move there. Not too sure why that was the particular choice, especially considering their location inside zone. But regardless, the outcome has been sealed. So some of these teams are losing a couple of players here and there, and that's going to mean they have to be extra careful for the rest of the game.
Yeah, they have to be definitely extra careful, because losing one more at this point in time means their numbers have dwindled a lot, and it's going to be really tough to take like a full team fight right there. But right as you were saying that, I was just looking at the way the whole team in this particular map was actually moving, and I saw something that was has been quite unique so far. The way the teams move, like, they're so a lot of fluid teams in this particular lobby. Like, it's just like pieces of jigsaws here and there, like a piece of a puzzle just moving around and fitting perfectly, just passing through each other without causing too much disturbances.
Yeah,
And
definitely a lot of skill in that regard,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, they will pay for that in the final zone though.
We'll just have to wait and see what is going to be happening here. It looks like 7AOK has rolled up just to the corner of boot camp, but they're not going to press in just yet. Still got 16 teams left on the board, so it really is this air of caution, this atmosphere of caution and hesitance is still lingering in the air at the moment. Nobody wants to overextend. Nobody wants to take too big of a risk and and get taken out too super early. They don't want that to happen. So playing a little bit safe, playing a little bit slow. But here's RPT taking a bit of a pounding, losing a couple of their players. Fear now trying to look and see if he can spot Turbo out or any of the other players up ahead just to get a little bit of revenge for their down teammate. Rage down at the bottom. They're not too sure if they're going to be able to come to his rescue. They are pinned down just a little bit aimless, trying to find a couple of shots in there. He's got a decent angle. Fear getting thrown off of it. He just gets pushed straight back off that angle. Not able to push forward because Amos and Dream, they're just right up here. They're just actually going to push him, and they're getting aggressive here. They're keen for this fight. They want the kills. They're going to separate them entirely from their teammate down there at the bottom. Rage not going to get picked up. Now they're going to take the fight to them. They go on the rotate, though. Aimless just catching them out. That bike a little bit too fast to handle, but there it is. He lands those shots. Some nice fire coming through, and he nails the second one as well. Absolutely fantastic discipline there. Absolutely well done, pushing them off the angle, pressing the attack, taking the aggression to them, and just being able to land those laser beam shots onto the retreating team on that bike. Downs the one, downs the second one to secure the entire team. Very well played.
Yeah, this is the high B7 I knew coming up in Inkosi, I must say, feeling proud right now. You could see the way they handled that fight, taking the decision to actually make that push up just in the nick of time to catch the enemy teams trying to rotate out of that position and, taking that first team out. And, this is like, at least so far today, this is like the fastest team getting taken out of the lobby, and we're left with 15 teams right now. So looking to see more from High B7 today, Pachi.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly, with that in mind, certainly do want to see a little bit more of that. That was I must say, I'm quite impressed with the decision making of that entire fight there. They had a really nice angle, but a lot of teams would have just kept that angle going. They would have just kept down in that compound and just stayed there. And as soon as the other team would have fallen off, then it would have been a clean rotate away. But no, they just press the attack. They push all the way to the top of the mountain. They take the fight right over the hill. And with some really good precision fire, they pick off those players on the rotate. That is that is just some good decision making, and they definitely paid off for them. So really good to see. I definitely want to see a little bit more of that. That's some good stuff. And I think I'm starting to see a little bit more of what you were talking about early on when you said the Inkosi teams have some interesting stuff to offer. And I think, as I consider the question that Esproxy is going to be asking me after a couple of games here, whether I think that there are some Inkosi teams that could definitely get up into that Umzansi and could tussle in that particular tournament format. I definitely think I'm starting to see that start to emerge here.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, a majority of the teams, a lot of the teams, not majority, a lot of the teams would probably have just held that position since they had like the proper angles and proper cover, would just draw out the fight. But they were like, oh, at this point in time, this looks like we could be of an advantage in this position, and they made use of it. But right now, it does seem the direct opposite, as we've got 7 scenes out of killing off in the distance, and Team Somalia just going to be holding onto that boot camp area, not making too much of a push out of their comfort zone right now, just waiting to see what the zone is going to give, and how they will be reacting to that one. But right up the bat, we can see we've got already a lot of teams pushing up towards that center, hoping the zone is going to be in their favor. Just a couple of few teams out on the edges right there, playing it quite slow, working their way in deeper into the zone. But as we are going to be having it right now, Young Thundercats YT, they are going to be coming in towards the boot camp area, just up you, looking towards 7 scenes out of killing, as well as the Team Somalia down over in the boot camp.
Yeah, as that blue zone is closing on in, we're about to see where the next one is going to drop, and it's actually going to zoom in just a little bit, so not actually a hard shift. So the teams are going to be quite happy about that. They're not going to have to run off anywhere just yet. Only a few teams going to have to rotate in, but for now, most of the teams still inside the safety of that zone. As you can see, highly concentrated area around boot camp at the moment, as you mentioned. And so hopefully we'll see some fights start to break out around that area. I'm certainly expecting things to start heating up from about now on as we reach the beginning point of the mid game. as we start entering that phase, I think the fights will definitely start to break out a little bit more as the teams start to get keen to pick up a few of those kill points for themselves.
Yeah, we can see. Right now, I'm putting IB7 right at the corner of my eyes. I'm actually looking to see how they are going to be making their rotations and possibly how they will be taking the fights with the next enemies in line, because it does seem like they've got their heads in the right place in this particular game. But TenX does seem to be on directly leading to them, so that is another thing that is quite, good with decision making. At least I've seen a few really good games, really good tactics from them over in um Inkosi. But right now, UES just running straight into BlackJack Esports ambush right now. As Cheddar is going to knock and lobby without second thoughts. This is interesting to see how this is going to be turning out right now, Apache.
Yeah, definitely. It will be interesting to see how this one unfolds. An unfortunate push there, right into the jaws of a waiting lion there. Cheddar just picking up the kill on that one. Looks like the rest of US will be sitting in the compound on the other side. Drip, Zarox, and Dylan going to be just chilling right across from him. Cheddar and MG are in an interesting position here because it's only two players that are present for them here in this position. And up against three, they could certainly lose this fight, but they have to be careful because if UES decides to push through the middle, they might be able to separate the BlackJack players and pick them off one by one, which will make them a lot easier than a 3v2. But alternatively, if both Cheddar and MG keep a weather eye out, they could spot that push coming from a mile away and just gun them down right in the streets as they try and cross. So that's why we're just waiting to see what their decisions are going to be. If they're going to try and risk it for the biscuit, go for the push and pick up some kills, or if they're just going to stay in their position for the time being and wait for the next shift.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't recommend a push at this point in time because they have very limited information. I won't say zero information. They are only sure of Cheddar's position. They have absolutely no idea where the rest of the BlackJack Esports squad is. And pushing out there is just going to be really, really like you're just basing your play off luck, which you don't want to do at this point in time. Also, one thing I've said in the past, and I'm going to bring it back, is that in games like Sanhok, before you make any push into any building or any corners, you have to double check. Like you have to be absolutely sure no one is just crouching on that corner, because underrated esports just ran straight into that one without even thinking there will be someone in that building. It's Sanhok. Anybody can be anywhere. The Snake City.
Yeah, that it is. That it is. Snake City indeed. Right now, Zaha hiding behind a tree and the rest of the team right behind, trying to get those reses in, and then we'll be able to find a bit of extra HP for themselves after healing up. And now they're going to try and take some long-range engagements there with Rain from hell at the top of that hill. Neon taking a little bit of fire, but not getting damaged just yet. Looks like Zaha would be able to penetrate the cover that they're hiding behind at the top of that mountain. And with the smoke in front, I'm not too sure if that's going to be enough to really stop any of the incoming damage. So Team Somalia in a little bit of a difficult position here, because if they push over that crest of the hill, they're going to be walking straight into 7 AOK. But if they stay there, Rain from Hell might just be able to take them out one by one.
Yeah, I would say the best option for them to, trade on right now would be what they are currently doing. Move on to that spot where they could get a blind side away from the guys from that's TS, I believe, up top, taking the shots at them. But if Seven, instead of killing, takes a quick whiff of that one, they might actually be looking to capitalize onto their position and just move out onto them. But no, Zaha right now doesn't. I'm not sure if he knows that there's a team down here and they're probably looking to actually push up onto this one. And Manfilas is just having an incredible amount of self control right now. Like, wow.
Yeah, and I will have to wait and see what is going to become of this. Zaha going for the peak, taking a lot of damage, but isn't going to find anything more than a quick knock onto Kavir. Unfortunately, that is going to be a little bit of a problem. Team Somalia now trying to make that final push in, but 7A okay, they've got too many players. Sure, that one down was good, but now it's just Benji trying to push from the flank and get something going. Okay, Kavir has already gotten picked up by Skull. So no free tickets for Benji. He's just going to have to brute force this one all the way. Preparing a nade might just be able to land something, but Kavir has already got the HP all the way back up, and now he's been spotted. UMP comes out, and here comes the push. He's going for it, does a lot of damage, but takes a lot of damage in return. Molotov goes into the building. Is it going to be enough? In the meantime, Zaha does be able to take down Manfilas in the meantime. So Benji has the support of the team as they start to push up in towards 7AOK. Can 7AOK repel this attack? It's going to be difficult right now. Manfilas and Kavira getting assaulted by Zaha. Zaha does get those knocks. Now it's just down to Skull. Benji going in for the kill as they close in on their last prey, trying to hide around the corner, but that's it. The elimination comes through, and it's goodbye to 7AOK.
Unfortunately, they couldn't that consistency up as they are out already in 15th position in this particular game. Sad to see, sad to see. Probably they still have 2 more games, come back up on top right there. But impressively coming in from Team Somalia. You did mention them that they had a lot to offer, and now they are actually stepping up, getting away from that tight position and being able to push up onto 7 scenes out of killing in their comfortable spot and taking them out to claim this compound for themselves. It's actually quite a feat.
Yeah, certainly is. Now that blue zone has shifted, we're going to see some teams start to make that rotate up into safety, and that's going to cause a little bit of a problem. I'm hoping to see some gatekeeping coming out very soon, because there's definitely some potential for that. Right here on your screen, you're watching Bjorn just put some shots right across and gets naded by the Don just barely in the nick of time, saving him for the time being. The Don just going to push up and get that kill, so he even secures it. Solo going to be reeling a little bit, turning around and going, hold on, what's happening on the back line there? But it's the Don. He's just pushing in and picking up some kills here and there. Team Solo now going to have to turn their attention to the back line as that blue zone washes in. It's about 3 zones deep heading in towards zone number 4. So Yujiro going to make the smart decision not to linger inside there for too much longer. Going to dash up in towards safety. The Don going to have to just push through the treacherous plains of the blue zone and recuperate with the rest of the team and try and stay alive here. But things are about to get really, really tricky quite quickly, because as you can see now, from zone number 4, we know Sanhok starts to speed up very, very quickly, and things become quite difficult.
Yeah, it becomes really difficult. And on the other end, we can see the guys from TenX who are taking a lot of damage right now as Solo is raining the shots onto their position. And I do love, I was going to mention something before Solo started taking a bit of damage out there. They were spread out a bit. I feel like if they had someone on their player that got down, might actually have been able to get saved and take out that other player. But unfortunately, it is what it is, and you can see them trying to make their way into the zone, probably get a couple of loots as TenX has taken a lot of casualties. And the next zone has popped into us bootcamp with just RPT and I think that's TS. That's going to be Team Somalia just sitting pretty inside that zone, while we have the bot squad just trying to make their move into the zone right now. And a lot of these teams have got to find their way in. So that southeastern part is going to be a beehive of activities, as it does seem like a lot of teams are going to be channeling into that particular area right there. So we might be seeing yet again the numbers of teams dropping really, really quickly on this one, Pachi.
Yeah, right now that blue zone is washing in, and Optimus putting the hits in is just finding some kills here as the blue zone comes up right behind him. He's going to be juicing up with some energy drinks to stay alive and hopefully outrun a little bit of that blue zone. We're 11 teams remaining at the moment, 35 players left alive, and players are just dropping like flies left, right, and center. Zyrox getting taken down, Taz getting taken down, Sahil from UAE getting taken down, Taz getting thirsted there as BBCx putting in the shots. Havoc picks up a couple of kills. Ace now trying to zoom outside into safety with that motorcycle, trying to get out of this blue zone as quickly as possible. It's doing a considerable amount of damage now, and as you can see, that zone is looking quite small. It's about 400, 500 meters across maybe. These teams are starting to slink inside. We've got RPT right in the center. That's a pretty decent position if they can find some cover, but it doesn't look like there's very much to use there. Maybe a few hills and rocks, but otherwise not all that much. We've got TBS on the east as well. They're in a little bit of a place on that particular side. Maybe could utilize that position. We've got Solar Esports trying to make their way into that zone. There is Young Thunder right up ahead of them, though, so have to be careful with that. I think a lot of these teams are going to have to pick their moments very carefully, because all these teams are now looking to take one another out. They're going to be fighting right up against each other's throats at this point, because there's not much space left. 10 teams remaining here, 31 players now crawling in towards zone number 5.
Yeah, it's getting to that sport where a lot of these teams have got to fight their way to survive right now. But one thing I would say is this game was a bit different from what we had in Erangel. A lot of the teams are getting to just take more bold steps, get to fight each other really quickly, rather than waiting towards that last moment. Just let the zone do the work. But right now we can see the next one has popped, and RPT is still sitting pretty deep inside that one. They are looking really favored, and I might be the one to take the winner chicken dinner today. I hope I don't jinx them. But yeah, we can see the guys from Young Thundercats right now just waiting to see if they could pick up a couple of kills from the solo team right there, Solo Esports right on their eastern side. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one because they are also getting shot from the distance right now. You can see all four of them getting inside one vehicle, but Samurai comes out and starts beaming as he's also taking a bit of a damage from the zone right now. He probably knows he's not going to survive this one, but he wants to take a couple of players alongside. But well, I think that is going to be it for Solo Esports, Apache.
Yeah, if you're gonna go down fighting at least, and Solo Esports does at least do that. Samurai trying to take as many players with him as possible. But now we've been reduced down to 7 teams on this map. And it's about 200 meters, 250 meters across. Not much room to play. And you can see up in the north, they're going absolutely havoc. We've got BBCx right up with RPT. We've got TBS also taking a fight there with BBCx, who are absolutely getting riddled with bullets.
Wow.
Now they've just been eliminated straight off the bat. RPT, no mercy whatsoever. TBS now just off on the side, also feeling a little bit of the pain. Yeah, of course, getting taken down there. Zaha also going to see the dirt as Young Thunder putting the shots in there. We've got Benji here for Team Somalia just off on the side, trying to put Young Thunder down and out of this one. 5 teams remaining. Every single kill counts at this point. Every single wipe is going to be huge, huge points gained for these teams. We're already top 5, but even more than that is going to be super useful. They're all fighting for that chicken dinner spot, but only one team can claim it. RPT now making their way across towards that zone, towards safety. Aimless and Turbo, as well as Unknown, off on the warehouse to the side. Also have TBS approaching. Benji trying to find a couple of shots in. Snake Eyes goes down, takes a lot of shots in return, so the res can come through from Superior. Will they be able to get the confirmation, though? Crawling slowly upwards. Benji has to be careful. The rest of Young Thunder is on the approach. He's a little bit separated at the moment. The nades are absolutely flying, but the res does come through. Adonis not able to actually find anything. He just gets caught out in the blue zone there. He has to make a run for it. Now, that might just expose him a little bit. And yeah, there it is. The blue zone actually going to take him down. He's not able to get to safety quick enough. And now, with the blue zone moving in, Young Thunder in a very difficult spot. They're in a bit of a pinch. They have to try and get to safety, but this is not going to be enough. They're trying to run around. There's too many angles to worry about. Strix goes down. Dream finding the shots in there. Benji and the rest of the squad just going to be eliminating Young Thunder one by one. Hanad finds the hit. Snake Eyes goes down, gets eliminated. Zaha just trying to find the spray. Does get a few shots into the face. Has to get a little bit of healing in, but there it is. The confirmation is going to come through from TBS. We'll pick up the third parties, and now they're going to have to start to push up. Look how tiny that zone is. RPT on the approach up and towards TBS. They're taking a lot of damage. Wally goes down, and I think that might just be the end of them. RPT looking for a fight, but they might just get caught out in blue zone themselves, taking a little bit of damage. Look at this. Aki going for it. He's trying to take them down. He's not going down without a fight, but he does eventually go down. Now it's up to out healing the blue zone, and I'm not too sure if this is going to go very well. 3 teams left here.
Yeah, 3 teams left, and 2 of these. Okay, it's just one of them currently using that healing strat right now. IB7 is going to come all out, confirming positions in this particular little circle left up right now. And you can see they are just taking the real estate. But that is going to be Zaha. Zaha has been popping off in this match. He has just been taking shots, beaming player left, right, and center right now. As he's got eyes set on the guys from IB7, Zinc in the background, just slowly but surely getting his health up on this one, just trying to survive for as long as possible. But I think that was the last one he just used. And Team Somalia is actually making their move up this month, one man behind for that ill strat to survive as much as possible. As Benji will be pushing up onto the 3-man squad from IB7. Aimless Turbo looking to get the shots back in. A lot of shots pumping into Unknown at the moment. Pachi, this is what you love to see. This is where it is happening right now. It's a 2v2 right there from Mass, from IB7 and the guys from Team Somalia right now.
Yeah, that was a great pickup by them to pick up Unknown off on the side there. That's going to give them a huge leg up. Now, Benji, he's going to come through. He's standing at the top of the hill. He's got a good angle down, but he has to find Aimless and he has to find Turbo. Zaha on the side. Not too sure if they're going to be able to find any quick angles towards them. You can see the smokes have been popped. Everyone's just skirting the edge of the zone right now, trying to stay alive. Is it going to be enough, though? That is the question that we're all waiting to see answered. Which one of these two teams is taking the chicken dinner for this game for match number 2? We're about to find out. Benji just teetering along the edge, looking for a few shots. He's trying to put them in, but he hasn't been able to find them. The landing is just not there. Aimless slowly crawling up. Turbo has been spotted there. Benji finds the shots. That's a huge leg up. That's a great benefit right there. Aimless is the last one left to worry about. Benji's taking a lot of damage, but Zaha is on the side to support this. Aimless has to be super careful. It's a 1v2 for him, but it's definitely not impossible. And he finds Zaha. That's a perfect pickup. It's a 1v1, and he knows he's got the HP advantage. He's rushing up. There we go. Benji landing the shots, and he finds them. He wins them out as well. Very nicely defended there. 10 kills for Team Somalia and a chicken dinner as well.
Yeah, I must say Team Somalia handled that quite well, like a champ, showing that they are an Umzansi team for a reason. That was actually perfection as they handled it quite well. I almost thought they had lost that one, but they came back on top and was able to clutch victory on that one. But kudos to the guys from IB7 being able to control that much and being able to also take that much kills out of this one with about 11 kills, I believe. And they are looking really, really strong in this one, Pachi.
Yeah. Certainly a really good performance coming out of these top 3 teams here, but well done to Team Somalia. We did say we wanted to see a little bit more out of them, so I'm glad to see that they have made it up and also keeping my prediction rate up at 100%.
This is going to drive me nuts this weekend with you and your prediction rate, in all honesty. You're going to drive me nuts. But yes, I'm happy to see Team Somalia there. I've been such a fan of them throughout the Umzansi season to see them at least now coming up and, doing what they need to do. And a lot of the teams actually, quite surprising as we look at it. I think the pressure might have gotten to a few of the teams as we looked at the first map, but it definitely changed coming through into the second one. Viper, what did you think about those games?
Well, this Sanhok was it was way faster than the Erangel, not just because of the size of the map, but because each of these teams on their own, you can see that they have actively made a decision to try and take more engagement and get these teams out of the way so that they could have a better final zone to thrive in and get some more positioning and placements at the end of the day.
I do want to see how it goes. I mean, we've done the second map now, so I'm not going to ask that question just yet, Patch. I'm going to give you at least one more map before I ask what you're thinking about these Inkosi teams going into Umzansi. But as it looks like it, I mean, again, it's the top of the top from Umzansi, it's the top of the top from Inkosi going head to head. So it's tough competition. I think it's as close as they could possibly get to facing the creme of the creme from Umzansi. And then, of course, the bottom 8 from today are not done by a mile. They still come back tomorrow. So they still have plenty of games done and at least still a second opportunity to potentially get themselves into Umzansi Season 5. Now, we will be going to a short break, but when we come back, we will take a look at the standings, MVP, etc., go through those numbers again, just to remind you about what happened here. But for now, we're going to go to that short break. Still plenty of action. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the promotion relegation games for Umzansi Esports League Season 4. Now, second game done and dusted. We're going to take a look at those standings so we can see who did the best, who got the most points, and of course, who's going to be climbing that leaderboard the fastest after that Sanhok game. As we know, close quarter combats, it does tend to leave some of the teams in a little bit of hot water. Some of them are not too capable of handling the heat, but let's take a look at it. Team Somalia, and this makes my heart so happy. Team Somalia up there at the top with the winner chicken dinner and 10 kills with overall points of 25, and then it starts to trickle down. But Patchy, I'm going to draw your attention, to the number of Inkosi teams versus the number of Umzansi teams on this first page, my good sir.
Well, all I'm gonna say about ratios or anything like that is the fact that we see Team Somalia sitting up there in position number 1. A very good performance coming out of them. Nice to see them at the top there. Very classic Umzansi team right there, of course. So we have Solo also on page number 1. They're bringing in a few, a few
how many
bob
points
here
difference?
But ultimately, a very good performance from our teams and quite substantial impressions being made here all across the board. I have enjoyed watching some of these teams play, I must say. They had some good things to pull out in game number 2. But the real question that we're looking for is consistency, because ultimately, game by game placements mean little if you don't keep them consistent. So we're going to have to wait and see if these teams are able to keep things consistent. And that's ultimately the question that will be answered as we move into game number 3.
Nice avoidance of my question, but yeah, moving on to the standings there. So I mean, look, on the first page we had down to 6 points. Going through to the next page, we're on to 3. We'll take a look at the overall leaderboard at some points and really start breaking it down, because of course this is just one match, right? This is not the overall leaderboard of this evening. This is just that one Sanhok game standings. So the overall leaderboard might look significantly different, but this is now where we get to that point. We start to have that discussion about, all right, are there Inkosi teams that we could see going through to Umzansi? Now, Viper, I know you've had a little bit of a discussion there. You were looking for a few of the teams. Undisputed was one of the ones that you mentioned as well. Patchy, from your side, are there any teams from Inkosi that are sticking out to you and really giving you that same sort of 7 Arts of Killing, energy, or Solar Esports energy that you think coming through for Umzansi Season 5, they could handle it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if I can pinpoint a team just yet. I don't know. The page number 1 probably has the names that I'm looking for, because I can't remember all of their names. But I do know that there have been a couple of showings so far that I've seen that definitely show me that the teams are at least very capable enough to be where they are. It's not like it's a mistake that they're here. Obviously, they put in the work throughout the entire Inkosi League to actually get to this point, which is a considerable feat in and of itself, and it shows that these guys have been putting in the work. And ultimately, the work pays off today. Whether or not it's actually going to pay off for them is up to the performances today. But ultimately, that's what they're deciding here. If it's enough to actually get them up, because right now, that's what's happening. We're sending them in, as we've been calling it, the grinder. We're sending them in to see, can they withstand the pressure? Can they actually perform when things come down to the wire? And right now, we're asking that question of both the Inkosi teams and the Umzansi teams that didn't make it to the finals, saying, are these guys enough to stay here? Are these guys good enough to get up? Let's take a look. Let's pit them against each other. Let's let them go all out. Let's let them show us what they've got. Show us those strategies, bust out those things. I mean, that aggression that we were talking about there in game number 2 coming out from one of the teams was fantastic. Really pressing the attack. That's what I love to see. It's really, really good stuff. And actually, it looks like we have a little bit of a taste of that overall leaderboard, which is really cool to see. BlackJack Esports, of course, up in that number 1 position. Quite a considerable position for them. And of course, unsurprising, we've been talking about them today alone. We were just saying how capable they are. And of course, so far, they are certainly proving that to be true. Good to see that we have 7AOK and Team Somalia up on this page as well, who we have certainly been waiting to see. IB7, who we've heard a lot of talking about, also up here with the best underrated esports, very close, just up ahead of that. So right now we do have a lot of players that have come to play today.
You can say that again. Absolutely, these Inkosi teams are making a statement. And again, I'm happy to see that we're starting. Again, we've mentioned it before. It's the grinder. The promotion relegations is a grinder. It's also where we use or where we are able to refine the teams going through to the next season. We can see that the best of the best are the only ones that find themselves in Umzansi. And of course, we're only at the halfway point now. Still two maps of opportunities for these teams to pick up those points to potentially grab the first one of the first 8 slots for Umzansi season 5. Which again, anyone here that is on this last page at the end of the day, it doesn't mean we're saying goodbye to them whatsoever. They will be coming back tomorrow to face off the top 8 from Friday to potentially get themselves that spot. There's only 16 spots available. 8 of them of which will be taken up today, and the other 8 will be taken up tomorrow. So, still plenty of opportunities. It's not over at all, but I am curious to see how many Inkosi teams are actually grabbing those spots. Because can you imagine sure, so many Inkosi teams replacing our Umzansi teams, the teams that have been there maybe for who knows how long. That would be quite interesting. Of course, this is your MVP for that Sanhok game coming through from Team Somalia. It is Zaha with 5 kills, 791 damage, and a total survival time of 26 minutes and 43 seconds. Absolutely doing whatever they needed to do for their team, and we love to see it. Especially, again, I'm biased. I just love Team Somalia, so I'm just happy. I unfortunately am a little bit biased in that regard. But Viper, from your side, break it down for us. We're going over to Miramar, as we know, long distance, quite a change up there from Sanhok. How do you think the teams are going to be adapting this time around?
I'm basing off what we saw in game one because we do know that Erangel is not that much of a long range, but mid range and occasionally short range fight. But I would love to slightly base my decision off that one. I've seen that a lot of the teams out here are actually very, very handy with their weapons, and so I expect to see teams taking really, really soft and nice positions like on high hilltops and just spraying teams, catching teams on rotations out here. So yeah, we are going to be seeing a lot of teams getting eliminated on rotations, and we might also be seeing a bit of standoffs here and there as teams are going to be going at each other, knocks for knocks and trying to get that winner chicken.
Exactly that, and we've seen many a times there's certain teams that just they thrive on Miramar. Miramar just seems to be their game, right? And Mzansi, Patchy, I mean, we talk about G3 Tempo when we talk about Miramar. We talk about a lot of teams that come through on Miramar, and that's just their bread and butter. This is the map that they want. It's the game that they need. So for many of these teams, maybe, especially our Mzansi teams that are lacking on that first page, maybe this is where they're going to be picking up those points. And then, of course, we're going to be going back to Erangle. I mean, a map that they've already played today, so they're going to have the warm up done and dusted. So hopefully they will be set and hopefully a little bit more explosive coming through to the next one. Are you expecting those Mzansi teams to pick up the pace?
That's actually a good question because, when we talk about the teams that we know are quite capable on Miramar, I think the teams that we've got currently in the pool, I'm not too sure if they're names that we would necessarily throw out first as, oh yeah, this is a team that absolutely thrives here. So I really think that they're going to have to pick up the pace on this one. It's definitely an opportunity for them to get some good points, but I think that certainly there's going to have to be a concerted effort made by all the teams here today.
Well, here it is. Miramar locked and loaded. The players are going to be jumping out of their seats. So, for the viewers at home, I hope you are very comfy in yours. Get some popcorn, get some drinks, and enjoy the action brought to you by Patchy and Viper, and of course, Nodwin Gaming Africa for Umzansi's Esports League promotion relegation games. This is map number 3. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Proxy. And yes, indeed, we are here for map number 3. It is Miramar, and we are getting straight into it. There's a lot of opportunity to be had here for these teams. We were talking about how some of the teams find this map as their bread and butter. Sometimes this is the map that the teams need, that they really are looking for to put some more points on the board to boost themselves up towards the top. And I think I'm going to tip my hand here just a little bit and say I really think that BlackJack Esports might just be able to walk away as quite a strong team at the end of today's games. So far, it looks like they're at the top of the log at the moment of the overall standings. But I really think that is a reflection of their capability. I think they have the capacity to maybe even win this this series today.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that because they, as I said earlier on, when we started in Kosi this season, week 1, week 2, week 3, up to week 4, BlackJack Esports wasn't anywhere on the leaderboard. In fact, they didn't even get to play the final games of Inkosi at all. But starting from week 4 up to week 8, they started coming back week after week. They played only half of the whole Inkosi and was able to end up, I think, in top 4 or top 5 position in the overall leaderboard. So definitely that says a lot about the kind of that we have on our hands right there. And you can already see how this is going for them. 2 games down, and they are on top of that table looking really strong. Yeah, coming into Miramar, we've seen them as a team that could actually take fights. They have the tactics, and yeah, definitely, I expect them to most likely win this. They are the favorite team for me.
Yeah, well, with that said and done, let's head on in. We've already got some action breaking out on the map. You can see Young Thunder in the kill feed taking a little bit of damage. Right up here, we've got Unknown taking a little bit of damage from Rainbow Six. Todoroki and the rest of the squad just hovering around. A lot of teams have made their way inside the zone already. The zone drops down towards the southwest, so it's a little bit of a lower shift than normal, but ultimately not too crazy, not too far out from the normal status quo. So the teams should be relatively comfortable in these positions. I guess now we just have to wait and see if these teams are the teams that thrive here on Miramar or if they're just going to be playing a regular game. So far, they have shown us that, yeah, they like to play a little bit of a slow early game just to make sure that they're all looted and ready to go. But on Miramar, that usually changes pretty quickly. So I am just waiting and hoping that we start to see things breaking out really, really quickly.
Yeah, I do hope so as well because Miramar, they could decide to, draw this one out really, really long and wait for that moment when the circle is going to be pushing them out to fight right there. But one thing I would like to quickly mention right now is Fear Esports, as they are far up north right there, and it's going to be. I feel like they would have a really tough time making their rotations into this zone. Unless they are actually able to source out and scout properly to know which axis they could enter from, that is having less of activities going on, less of traffic in that region. So yeah, I would love to see how the guys from Fear Esports will be making that. But right up the bar, we can see Solo having lost one player, looking down, looking to see if they could pick up a counter kill as well. Rank up in that kill points right there. But it doesn't seem that it's going to be happening anytime soon. Archie.
Yeah, just for a bit of clarity, actually, on that point about fear all the way up north, one thing that we do see a lot of the time in Umzansi, especially on this map in particular, and in fact, this map specifically features this often, when the zone goes far down to the north or to the south, depending on which way it goes, or even the east or the west, a lot of teams will take the initiative and actually rotate out really far away from the zone. As you can see from Fear, they're all the way up in the north. They know that
Mm-hmm.
it's a guaranteed spot that's not going to be contested because the flight path didn't go there, and they should
Yeah.
be able to loot up without any interference. So that's basically a free loot spot for them and a comfortable start. And because of the size of Miramar, the re-entry into the zone is way, way easier than it normally is. So definitely that is something we do see a couple of times, especially up in Umzansi. Right now, speaking of fights, we have a fight going on here between Rainbow Six. Aimless now pushing up the staircase, pushing Todoroki and Optimus back as this team try to flush them out and pick up some kills. Aimless low on HP, but he's keeping a weather eye out. He's trying to get himself back up to full HP. He has to be careful here. The push is definitely coming through. Now Optimus making his way to the roof. They're trying to stay alive here.
It's a tough one right now. IB7 actually looking to just keep it onto Rainbow Six right now. Rainbow Six with just Optimum and Rocky in this building, but it's a 2v2 currently going on between these two. But Prime on the other end has the angle, could find the shot through a window. You can see, I think there's some next level communication going on between him and his teammates. Like, can you just draw them out? Can you draw them out? Let me see if I can pump some shots into them. But right on the other end, we've got IB7 also looking towards this building, looking to see if they could catch any one of Rainbow Six players off in the distance. This is the early game fight, about 6 minutes in, and IB7 and Rainbow Six are looking to go at each other really hard on this one. It's Yeah, I really don't know who is going to be winning this one because both teams are actually really, really good when it comes to fights like this.
Yeah, right now Aimless is trying to land the shots, and he does find Optimus. The Thirst comes through as well. Now Dream just to pick up the pieces, and he does find those Thirsts as well. Looks like Prime not in a position to assist. He's all the way on the opposite rooftop, but they know exactly where he is, and they're already looking to take a fight with him. They do not want to drop any of the points that they could possibly miss out on. No, they want to secure every single one of them, and now Prime is the prime suspect, the prime target of these players here. They want to absolutely nail this one down and pick up every single kill in this region that presents itself. And there it is. The secure from Turbo will come through. He wins the fight and picks up the final player there to secure an extra point in the pocket.
Yeah, IB7 at it again, Patrick. Like, they are starting there at it again. This was what they started with over in Sanhok, and yeah, this is Miramar, and that is I think that's 4 points already up for them. Yeah, 4 points already up for IB7, and they're still looking really strong in this one. So yeah, we can see a lot of the teams are already making their rotations down into the zone. From Fear Esports going north, or already coming in, probably will be coming in through water treatment, Hacienda, the Patron. In the eastern part right there, we can see UAE will be having a few teams coming around to say hello, how are you doing? But UES is also going to be spotting a couple of teams on their rotations, and he's just going to stop, drop and pop a few shots towards the TenX position right there. Oh, this man is taking a huge risk right now, because if you have a player with him, that is a prime shiny looking helmet.
Making himself the target for sniper fire.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough one there. Just to go back on what you were saying about IB7, I think they're actually doing pretty well on the overall leaderboard as well. So definitely they have proven you right when you said they were a team to contend with, to keep an eye on. Hopefully we'll see them make it a little bit further in the series. It'd be great to see them up in towards Umzansi, and there's definitely the possibility for that today. As we were talking about, we know these top teams will get themselves a spot, a chance to make it happen for season number 5, and that is what these teams are fighting for. IBC7, of course, making a very good shot at that, along with BlackJack, as we were talking about a little bit earlier. Even Undisputed AE making things happen here. Inspector, however, has to get himself up to full health and tries to take a little bit of a fight as that blue zone starts to move him and the rest of UAE a little bit split up, but ultimately still alive. Most of the teams are actually just making their way down into that zone, which has moved south since we last saw it. And that's, of course, going to encourage all the teams to rotate down into that position. There's still plenty of space. Miramar, a nice big map, plenty of space to move around in. But we know that despite the fact that there's a lot of space, we know those long-range engagements can come from absolutely anywhere. So these teams need to be on their toes at all times.
Yeah, you've got to be on your toes at every single time, because as of right now, I'm not even really seeing that Miramar meta of long range fight and whatnot. Majority of the fights that I've seen so far are fights that the team rolled up onto each other and got the job done really quickly. But okay, maybe the long range are happening right now. As you can see, Skull right off in the distance, out in the open as well. But he's got his shot lasering towards the enemy. Unfortunately, could not get that one to fully connect, but at least he'll be getting out of there into proper cover real quick. And still 15 teams alive. I believe we've just lost one team, and we're about 10 minutes into the game. And more rotations left, right, and center, as majority of these teams are just trying to make their way into proper position and do not want to just keep themselves in a position that is of a disadvantage to them. And some buff clips coming out from Manfilas right there as well. You love to see some of those Olympic moves right now.
Yeah, always great to see. And now, of course, we'll have to wait and see if any more are in store for us. Kingman waiting on the top of this hill here. He's just going to see if any of those teams pop out, any of those players. He spots Muzz out, trying to put a few shots in towards him, but hits the deck immediately to make sure he's not going to get hit in the face. Benji getting a little bit extra aggressive there, pushing forward, and it looks like Muzz and Kova actually just going to jump right behind. Don't really want to take a fight with Benji. They're just going to try and retreat back to a safer position to take that engagement. Benji slowly creeping up. He's just keen for a fight. He doesn't even want to let up. He is just looking for blood right now. And it looks like he's about to find it. It's going to be his own blood, though, because he gets taken down immediately. A 1v2 fight. Definitely not going to go your way, Benji. Not too sure what you were thinking there. But he was just super eager to go for that fight.
Surprising, though. he must have had some next level confidence. Like, I got this, bro. I got this. Leave this to me. I'm gonna kill them all right now. But no, That is not going to be happening today. It's probably King Gami telling him, "Yo, go, bro. I'll give you some cover out here." But unfortunately, that did not go exactly as planned. But we can see Zaha is going to be coming in right now, trying to see if he could give some cover. Zaha was our the last match MVP, I believe, and yeah, we'll be looking to see how they'll be handling this one. But more of the guys from BBCx are already arriving on the scene to give some backup onto this one. So it will be wise for TS to actually get out of this one while they can. Yeah, you can see Zaha already getting out of that one real quick, which is smart move to make, I must say, Pachi.
Yeah, certainly is. You've got to know when to disengage and when to engage. Benji, a little bit shaky on that front. I'm not too sure. He knows when to disengage, maybe, but maybe when to engage, not so much. He feels like a 1v2, super confident. He's just got it oozing out of him. He's like, you know what? I can take this, boys. I can take this. You know, you got my back, right? And his team's like all the way on the backside, like 2 kilometers away. And they're like, yeah, don't worry, we got you. And he's just rushing up right into the face of 2 players, like, yeah, let's go. And it didn't end too well for him. And so the rest of his team's like, you know what? Maybe we should back off a little bit and just play it safe for the time being, which is probably a smart decision. We've got 15 teams alive. We've got 5 players that are on the board at the moment, and it looks like so far Miramar hasn't gotten too chaotic for the teams, but that is going to change if we don't see any wipes start to happen now. These teams need to start getting a little bit more active, because if all of them stay alive into the end zone, it is going to be an absolutely chaotic end zone that we will find ourselves in, and these teams are going to be really put to the test in quite a big way. So we're just going to have to wait and see if they'll be able to make it up into the final zone.
Yeah, when situations like this happen in which most of the teams just refuse to die, they stay alive up to the very, very last moment. One thing I've always noticed is that the zone is always like, hey, I'm up to the task, and then it comes in and starts taking out teams after teams. You have teams just dropping, play zone just took down, play zone just took down, play zone just took down, and you're like, okay, play zone is on the move. Play zone right now is the MVP of today. But that is happening because see BlackJack Esports currently taking a lot of damage right now from the guys from Young Thundercats. Young Thundercat putting in the work for Zane. He's going to be coming in right real quick with some support as he is able to take that shot straight back to Young Thundercats and confirm that kill right there. They've lost one player in this one, and yeah, well, it's still 15 teams alive, 3 players right now from BlackJack Esports. How are they going to be handling themselves moving forward with Young Thundercats still on their heels right now, trying to see if they could get some shots into them? Smokes everywhere, tactically placed, trying to see if they could use that to their advantage to cut the angles and find the flanking positions onto their enemy. How is this going to work out? Would love to see it, Pachi.
Yep, certainly would. BlackJack do have a good position here. They've got Reverb up on the top of the roof, so he's got a bit of an overwatch position. The rest of them keeping a weather eye out for that potential push, but so far it doesn't look like that's going to come in. So for now, they're dug in and they're safe, but we'll see how long that lasts. I'm wondering, see what the approach is going to be. In the meantime, there is a couple of fights, or there are a couple of fights, should I say, breaking out on the map, and that is to be expected. As you can see up in the north, a little bit of tussles happening between the teams. And yeah, it's not about to slow down at this point because that zone's about to close on in and things are going to get even more difficult to play around. You can see the south of this zone is looking quite packed. You can see BlackJack Esports, Undisputed AE, we got Young Thunder, Team Somalia. Everyone is just chilling. We've got Rain from Hell moving in from the bottom there. We've got a couple of players, Team Solo in there, 7AOK is there. So everyone is kind of crowding around these two sort of halves of the map, but that's about to change because that zone zooms right into the center. Reverb now getting taken in from behind. Has to be careful of those third-party shots right up there on his perch. Gives him a good sniping position, but also exposes him to a few angles. But luckily for BlackJack Esports, they find themselves inside the zone, so they do not have to move. So they can keep themselves dug into this defendable position here, which could work out quite well for them moving forward.
Yeah, one of the things I've always noticed in majority of Miramar maps is when the zone decides to end towards this particular axis, any team holding the church area always does seem to, pick up a lot of kills because it's basically like open grounds all around, and then you have someone just staying like reverb right now on top of this rooftop and just tapping away towards players left, right, and center, keeping them away. You hardly find a team willing to actually push up onto this position because they know there's too many open grounds to actually approach into that axis. So they would tend to stay away and try to, tore down the number of teams are available in the lobby to give themselves a better placement chance.
Yeah. Now we watch as BlackJack continue to take a prolonged engagement here, with the team slowly encroaching from the backside, trying to find their way in here. Solo Esports just looking to cross that line, and it looks like they have. So they're safe for now. The blue zone is slowly creeping in. Most of the teams are finding their way into safety for now. You can see Cheddar just trying to find a couple of pot shots in towards Ndiags and the rest of the team there. They should be fine. RPT is slowly rotating in. You can see TBS has control of this crate area, and there's a couple of teams surrounding them. They have to be careful. There's a lot of teams rotating past this particular direction, so they've got to be careful because the cover here could wear thin pretty quickly.
So looking at the setup they have right there, TBS, I feel like they need to stop clustering a bit. They need to cover that particular containers that they have around them, because if they could cover the right kind of angle, they have the chance to actually pick up a couple of stray kills off on the distance and take those kill points to their own advantage. But it doesn't seem like they will be doing that, because if any other team decides to roll up onto their position, it might be really delicate for them to defend. But we'll love to see how that one is going to be turning out real quick, as majority of the teams, I think TenX and Fear Esports. Ooh, interesting. Fear Esports has rotated all the way down south east right now, trying to get their way into the zone. As TenX is just taking it chill, not much danger they are in on that axis. Maybe Raptors will be looking towards their position as well very soon. But one thing that has actually just been chilling pretty much has been 7 scenes out of killing Patchy. They've just been, like, hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? What's going on? And right now they're just chilling in the middle of that zone. Everyone's sort of crowding on in, slowly getting closer and closer. And the blue zone is doing the exact same thing, getting closer in, getting ready to switch up just a little bit. Some shots going out into the perimeter of that safe area. You can see the teams crowding around. A lot of them moving in from the north, trying to get in towards safety. But here's the zoom in, moved up slightly towards the north. Team Somalia is still inside the zone, so they can do a little bit of gatekeeping for those 3 or 4 teams in their region. Looks like 7 AOK and BlackJack are both going to have to move forward just a little bit to get inside the safety of that zone. But this is where things start to get a whole lot more difficult, because if you look at that zone right there, you can see there's not much in the way of cover. It's only mountainous regions, and that's really going to mean that they're going to have to play with the the height differences and the rising and the falling to try and use those little rocky grooves as cover.
Yeah, just looking at this map right now, it seems like a nightmare to actually chat through as an IGL right now, because I can't only say I cannot even begin to imagine what is going on through their minds at this moment, because at every point you're trying to get into at this in this zone right now, there is a team probably on the edge, and yeah, that mountain is looking really really interesting to get to, but it's a difficult path ahead. It's a treacherous path ahead, as there are teams waiting out there to beam onto you. You can see Solo is going to be full sending it right now, going for that sniper tower right there. He's actually able to make it down to that position. 11 teams. The time is here to start dropping the numbers really quickly, as 7 scenes out of killing is advancing forward, looking to take a couple of shots right now towards the bot squad. But Jeff is going to be advancing forward, a couple of shots coming towards his position. Caveira has taken a bit of an hit on that axis, but we'd love to see how they'll be handling themselves right now. The teams right now know that they are in a position where this is you make it or you break it right there, and every single step, every single knock you get right now counts a lot to how much more you will survive out here.
Yeah, could not agree more to that. It is absolutely down to the wire. Every single move you make is incredibly impactful on the rest of the game at this point now. 9 teams remaining. Genji going to get taken down as he's trying to get that rotate through the third party coming in from 7 AOK, and they're trying to put the shots in towards TBS, and it looks like it will be working for the time being. 7 AOK has proven themselves again and again so far today, and certainly they do not look to be stopping anytime soon. They've got some predatory instincts here. They've got their prey in sight, but BlackJack is now rolling up right behind them. And this is also a team that has been proving to be quite strong here today. And of course, on Miramar, we do not expect that to change. So they are here right up alongside 7 AOK. Manfield coming in to make sure that they have the reinforcements they need to take on the likes of BlackJack Esports. It's not going to be easy with TBS on the one side, BlackJack on the other, and Undisputed AE right in front of them. It's not going to be an easy time at all. They're going to have to make sure that they put in the work. The zone has shifted up in their favor, so BlackJack is going to have to make the rotate, but can they use that to their advantage at this point with so many players in the surrounding area with so much potential for third parties in crossfire? Can they perform under pressure is the question.
Whoa, this is what you love to see, love to see at this moment. I do love the fact that 7 scenes out of killing actually handling himself in between two teams, trying to take a fight on two fronts right now. You can see they've actually split themselves up into the body system like 2-2 right now, and two of them that's going to be Scholar Manfilas looking towards BlackJack Esport. But on the other end, IB7 is looking to drop some mini red zone onto underrated esports, or is that UAE, I believe, just down below them, trying to just get the shots to connect and take them all out real quick. Yep. They've been able to actually get a couple of knocks and kills confirmation out there. Inspector slowly but surely trying to get back to Ace to get back up right now. BJ is still looking to make some aggressive plays onto Art of Killing, but Art of Killing standing strong in that center with the bot squad also looking to come towards their position as well. But right on the end of IB7 is still not looking any less. Now it's just flying from Dream, trying to get more connection onto BBCx. BBCx on the receiving end of this one, not looking too good for them. Right now, the zone is going to be creeping in a bit, and Pachi, it's about to go down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It is about to go down. Look at the size of that zone. It is tiny. These teams do not have space. They have to play tactically right now. They've got to get their heads in the games. There's no chance for a slip up. A single mistake could cost you absolutely everything. BlackJack is losing a lot of HP there in the center. They are right in the thick of things. They tried to get into safety, but they put themselves in a very precarious position. They are right in the thick of it with 7 AOK and the rest of the teams in the surrounding area. Some nice shots up in the south, in the north, should I say. Undisputed AE getting taken out there. Muzz going to put the finishing shots into Inspector, but now he's facing elimination himself. Aimless and the rest of the team. IB7 there up at the top, just moving in for the kill, going in to try and clean that up, and they will. Mars gets taken down, and Diags is soon to follow. He is barely keeping himself alive. Cheddar in the same position. 2 stragglers out of Solo Esports and BlackJack Esports now. IB7 moving up, Aimless rotating up and towards Turbo. Mista looking for something. 7 AOK still going strong in this match. They've managed to defend the position for quite a substantial amount of time, proving that they are strong to defend, that they are capable to stand strong for quite a long time, endure this pressure. But the question is it enough? Because right now it looks like the other team, IB7, is coming on up. They are looking for blood. They're looking to challenge the other team that has those numbers. 4 players for 7 AOK, 4 players for IB7. We've got 2 for TBS, and it looks like Dream is going to get taken down. That's Wally putting the shots in. TBS going to prove to be a bit of a thorn in the side of IB7. Turbo going to have to just watch the back line as Aimless goes in for the red. They have to be careful. There's a lot of crosshairs looking for opportunity in their direction, and it could just pop over at any time. There's only 5 teams remaining here. Mista keeping a weather eye out on TBS. The tension is absolutely tangible. Bot Jeff getting taken down now as Aimless finds the shots. A nice nade coming in onto Dream, sending him right on down. The res has to come through as soon as possible. Aimless looking for extra aggression, trying to keep the fight, bringing it into TBS, make sure that there's no chance for them to re-aggress. And now he's going to get third party straight into the ground. 7 AOK is finding the opportunity. They swoop down like vultures and pick it up. They know that every kill that they get makes things so much easier for them. Skull taking a little bit of damage himself, but Cheddar and Diags on the sideline looking to cause a little bit more mischief as solo players. And certainly that's exactly what they're doing. A nice nade in towards Skull. They're absolutely causing havoc into these big teams who are trying to keep their players alive, and they just have to deal with these mosquitoes buzzing around their ear. Cheddar just trying to stay alive as long as possible and cause as much mischief as he can. IB7 should I say, trying to come in on the back line. TBS starting to push up. Aimless goes down. Now Turbo and Dream have to make it happen. Low HPs for Wally and BotJack, and it should be a winnable victory here. Turbo finding the shots, and it should be enough with the drop shots coming in. Can they land it? It looks like it's taking a little bit too much, and down all over the place. That's an absolute huge loss for IB7. They just weren't able to land the shots, and they just get taken down. Now 7 AOK pick up on that. They know it's their time to shine, and they clean up the sidelines. They clean up those mosquitoes that were causing them so much trouble, and now they turn their attention over towards TBS to finally claim what could be the last victory, and it is. There it is. The chicken dinner comes right into the hands of 7 AOK.
Wow. 7 AOK was wonderful in that particular match. They held their position, stood strong, and covered every single angle in which enemies could come in from, making themselves known that if you come towards this axis, you are getting down. And you can see how that spelled out for them with enough kills to actually, back home and get that kill point right there. But I must mention you guys from IB7 as well. They did survived quite a lot. But one other player that I am going to mention tonight, Pachi, is Cheddar. This man is a survivor.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think this is the second time that we've seen him get up in there as the last player for BlackJack Esports.
It's always like that with Cheddar, bro.
And he causes a lot of trouble by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, those sort of, straggler players, those like one member team players that just go and absolutely cause chaos for the other teams. It causes a lot of stress for the other teams because there's that one player that, is changing your position from a third place or fourth place to a second, obviously maybe a first place, but obviously a second and third place. So it's stressful. It's very, very stressful. We've seen it in many other BRs as well. Players need to focus to get rid of the rats. They need to get rid of those snakes. They need to get rid of those last remaining, solo players, because they really do cause a lot of chaos. The third map done and dusted, Miramar, was quite an interesting one indeed. Patchy, what did you think about Miramar?
It certainly started out as one would expect. Miramar generally tends, especially when you can see that the skill level of the pool is relatively high, you can see that they like to get active a little bit earlier on, and we did see that today in this match. What I definitely didn't really expect, but I was quite happy about seeing, is that there was a lot of chaos in the final zone, but it was managed really well by the teams. It was actually quite impressive to watch. A lot of the time that chaos can trip up a lot of teams, and you see a lot of chaos going on and a lot of teams falling flat and making mistakes, and that pressure really builds up and can fold over some teams. But these guys were really out here making it work. I mean, we were just talking about Cheddar. He was the last player for BlackJack Esports, but he was still out here. He was still causing havoc. He was still changing the game just by himself. The same was true for all the stragglers that were still alive in the final zone. TBS survived a very long time, and they caused a lot of trouble for IB7, who up until that point had been really, really great, been doing absolutely fine, but they just couldn't get past TBS. They just couldn't get past that bastion, and it really did cause their ultimate downfall there, and the reason they weren't able to beat them. But speaking of IB7, you can see that they were still able to come out ahead of TBS just because of those kills, and that's kind of a little bit of a testament to what I've been saying pretty much all season long, and that those kills are absolutely critical to pick up.
Whew. And looking at these standings, 7 Arts of Killing coming through and picking up those 24 points. Now, I mean, when we were looking at the overall leaderboard earlier on, they were looking pretty good. And now this is just going to catapult them to the top of those overall standings. Solo Esports as well from the Umzansi side, making a statement there in 4th place. And then for the rest of the standings, Patchy, it's just Inkosi teams. Just Inkosi teams coming up on this first page, at least for this map. but this is the second map at least in a row. I can't remember the first map too well, but already the second map in a row that we're seeing, this influx of Inkosi teams really making a statement, which I personally am very happy to see. I'm not so happy about the teams on this page, however. I mean, I want more from these teams. Viper, how are you feeling?
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the second page, likes of TenX, Team Somalia, underrated esports all the way down on the bottom of this list. That definitely something isn't going right with them, and I hope they will be able to, bring it back in the next games up ahead. That's the last game, I believe. Erangel.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Next map is the last map.
They've got their work cut out for them. They need to bring out some 30 kill bomb or something.
It's exactly that, actually, because if they don't, well, it's not like it's over for them. And
Yeah,
this is
true.
what we need to reiterate. It's not going to be over for them, but it is definitely going to be harder. And of course, your MVP coming through from IB7, it is Dream with 6 kills, 1081 damage, and a total survival time there of 24 minutes and 41 seconds coming through for IB7. So, last map after the break, of course, but that is a lot of stress for many of the teams that are finding themselves on that last page. Patchy, from your side, last time we looked at the overall leaderboard, we'll come back again, but I'm expecting it to not change too drastically. They've got one more map to change it up. You think it's possible?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. The proof was in the pudding before Season 4. The Season 3 finals were proof enough. Season 4 has been proof enough. We've seen tons of teams come out of relegation and make it in the last few games. The same has been true for round number 2 of Season 4. And so the same must be true now. There's still possibility. It's not done until it's done, And so at this point, there's still a lot of potential. 30 bombs could happen. We've seen it happen before, and I think these teams are certainly capable of pulling it off. But I think it's going to be very difficult to make it happen because it looks like the level of these teams is quite high. It's not going to be a walk in the park for them. They're really going to have to work hard for that. I think I agree with Viper there. The work is certainly cut out for them here.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait for that little break to go its merry way, of course. And of course, when you come back, it is Erangle once again and the last map. And we're going to take a look at the leaderboard. There's a lot of things that are going to happen after that break. So please stay with us. The action is still underway. This is the promotion relegation games for Umzansi Esports League Season 4. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the promotion relegation games for the Umzansi Esports League Season 4. Before we start talking about PUBG Mobile, Patchy, you were talking about that 100% prediction rate, right? Right. So I want you to keep that in your mind. You know that you're saying cool Umzansi teams here to like absolutely just stomp and go mad.
That's not really what I said, but all right.
While we take a look at the leaderboard. No, just keep it in mind. You said it. You said Umzansi teams are gonna come and smash some faces today. What's happening here? I only see 3.
I'm seeing 7 AOK up there. I mean, that's pretty good. And if you think about it, BlackJack Esports is basically an Umzansi team, so you know, yeah, I'll take that point there as well. And I'm seeing Team Somalia there. I'm seeing Team Solar Esports and BBCx. I mean, that's basically BBC but with an X. So I'm going to take the points for that one too.
Patchy. I know you've got a couple of glasses, my man, but you are not this blind. Come on now.
All
Come on.
Let's
give credit where credit is due. Our Inkosi teams from Season 4 are absolutely insane so far. Only 3 maps. And my goodness gracious, these points are absolutely insane. But let's start breaking it down. Jokes aside, I just like to mess with Patchy. It's my part-time gig, you know. It's what I like to do. But IB7 leading the pack there with 47. We start going down the leaderboard, right? And yes, 3 of Umzansi teams picking up some beautiful points there. And amazing kills. We look at the bottom 8. And that's where the cutoff is for Umzansi Season 5, right? The top 8 from today immediately go through to Season 5. So the bottom 8, 23 points. When you take a look at that second page, 22 points. Literally 1 point difference between the first page and the second page. And of course, I mean, some of the teams, you know, they're a little bit lower than that 22 marker, 23 marker in this case. But, I mean, that one more map could mean the difference for it all. We saw it happen yesterday, where a lot of the teams on this, they were in this exact same situation. I think they were around 11th, 12th place, come through the last map. All of a sudden, they're picking up the kills, they're picking up the points, and then all of a sudden, wow, we see them in the top 8. By the way, Patsy, that BBC, you know, that's not actually BBC, but it's a completely different team, so no, it doesn't count.
I don't know. Math is math. BBC is BBC.
It's not the same, BBC.
But it says BBC on it.
It's not the same. It's just a name. Production has literally told me to tell you.
Well, you know, I can dream.
So you don't give this much nonsense to Dr. Sid, so I'm gonna mention it, but he just needs to take it out of you next weekend. I'm gonna wait for that time that I get to cast with you again, okay? I'm reminding myself about it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about
you can't deal with my 100% prediction rates.
It's not 100%.
I know you're jealous, but it's all right. It's all right. We're gonna be getting into a spicy game where all my predictions are gonna come true. Don't worry.
Okay. I'm keen. So tell me, who's gonna be winning Erangle?
BlackJack Esports.
BlackJack Esports. That's what you've got down 100%. BlackJack Esports are going to be winning the last map of the promotion relegations for Season 4 for today.
85%.
Mr. 100% prediction rate can't be 85%.
Yeah. No, it's an 85% prediction. But when it comes true, I'll still be at 100%.
Okay, Viper, please give me some sanity, man. What are we going to be looking out for Erangle? What are some of the teams that you're going to be looking out for?
Definitely, I got my eyes fixed right now on IB7, underrated esports, and honestly, they've not done too well in this particular games of today. But I still have high hopes for TenX Esports. Probably if TenX Esports could come up with a clutch tonight, like in this final game, definitely they would be able to catapult themselves back to that first page, which would really be a major up for them. I hope they make it through though, because it's been a long 8 weeks for them to get to this point. Well, they still have another chance tomorrow to, get at it again, but there's still a chance today. Take it.
So, I mean, we reward those teams that have been doing so well. So hopefully we will be seeing them come either into Umzansi through today's games or through tomorrow's games. But they do get that extra shot because they did so well in Inkosi. They had so many points that they pushed themselves up into that double elimination bracket, basically, when you look at it in that sort of format. But for the other teams from yesterday, they only had one shot, and those top eight will be facing off the bottom eight of tonight. As the top eight of tonight will be heading straight through to Umzansi Esports League Season 5. Absolutely phenomenal work from them if they could make it happen here. And so far, I don't know, this ratio of Inkosi teams to Umzansi teams, it's a little bit similar to what we had yesterday. A little bit too similar for me that I can't call it at this point in time. I can't say, cool, we're going to be seeing a majority of Inkosi teams, or we're going to see a majority of Mzansi teams, because anything can happen in this one game. That's how close these points have really been. I mean, if you think about it, the bottom half of those top 16, they're sitting about what, 22 points. We go to 15 points to 15 points, and then above them, it's 25 points. I maybe let's make 30 points, the minimum to get into that top eight.
Yeah.
That's 15 points, right?
Yeah.
That's maybe a couple of kills, maybe a half decent placement. You don't even have to go for the winner chicken dinner. You just have to stay alive. You just have to make sure that you keep your wits about you. Patchy, it's close. It's one game winnable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is definitely quite close. I mean, we were looking at the separation between the two halves of the leaderboard, super, super close. And I mean, even if you look at the teams that are sitting towards the top, it's not that much of a difference. And what that actually tells you is that these teams are really, really close, and that all of them are quite skilled and highly competitive with one another, which is good to see. I mean, this is exactly the kind of groupings that we like. When we see these kind of numbers, 43 and 41, super, super close. 29, 28, 27, super, super close. We were looking at BBCx in position 8 with 23. Just underneath them is 22. It's super, super close. And that really shows us that these teams are where they should be, right? In this position where we decide which are the teams that are the tip top of this grouping, right? Because these groupings are very, very balanced. I think we've really gotten to a point where the season 4 is super, super competitive. We've been calling it the most competitive season from Zanzi so far, and it really is proving to be true. And from the looks of it, the quality teams that are being churned out of Inkosi right now are proving that they also are up here fighting with these teams and bringing the overall skill level up. They're not disappointing. Previously it was kind of a hit or miss. Some teams would perform well, some others wouldn't. Right now, all the Inkosi teams are showing us that they are definitely raising the bar. At least Inkosi is just continuing to turn out really good teams. And I know we've been memeing about it all day, but definitely credit where credit is due to see these Inkosi teams doing really, really, really well. And what I always like when it comes to the promotional relegational series is I like seeing the Inkosi teams come in to Umzansi and actually bring something new, bring just a little bit of different flavor into the Umzansi sort of pool, and just change things up a little bit, and just change the way the game is played, and really just kind of turn the tables a little bit and give us a little bit something extra to look forward to. And that's what I always do look forward to every single time we begin a new season. It's always interesting to see what happens this season. In season number 4, we had some Inkosi teams that were really explosive, but their charge didn't last too long. Some of them did manage to keep their wits about them and stay in for the finals, but some of them, of course, as we're seeing, did drop down into the promotion relegational series. But now they're fighting it out, and we're seeing the likes of 7AOK coming back to the top, and they're really doing well. So it's good to see that these teams are still fighting for their chance to get back in there and prove that they have something to offer into Umzansi, and I really think they do.
Yeah, at some point I had to keep reminding myself I had to have a list of those Inkosi teams on the side, because you start to not be able to tell the difference. It's not a case of, oh, these are obviously new teams, taking up, the professionals from the Umzansi Esports League. No, you look at them as the same level as their competitors. They really do take on that challenge so well, and it is because they have to go through a grinder like these promotion relegation games. But here it is, the last map of day number 2 of the promotion relegation for Umzansi Esports League Season 4. This is Patchy and Viper giving you all the action for this last map of the day. So guys, for the last time today, do what you do.
There it is. Do what we do, and what we do is talk about this game, and what this game is right now is Erangel in our final match today. The final chance for some of these teams to get that guaranteed spot. But just to remind you that the teams that do not make it through to the guaranteed spot still have a chance to fight it out in the finals of the promotion relegational series. So It's not done and dusted for them just yet if they don't manage to make it. So it's not the end of the road, but certainly there is still a lot on the line, still a lot to fight for. And I'm going to add a couple of disclaimers to my 85% prediction and say I would not be surprised if we saw the likes of, IB7 or 7 AOK walking away with this one, because they certainly have been doing quite well. And even Undisputed AE has been sitting quite pretty towards the top of those leaderboards and doing pretty well so far. In fact, as we've been talking about, a lot of these teams have really been showing up to play today. And now that we find ourselves circled back to Erangel, these teams have warmed up. They've given it all they've got. They've gone through the motions. They've played all 3 standard maps. And now that we're here again, Viper, do you think we're going to see some more intense gameplay here on this map?
Yeah, so that was one of the first things I was even going to make comments about. Like, looking at what is at stake right now, because I know a lot of teams out here would love to just get that guaranteed spot without having to go to yet another match tomorrow to play. We might actually be seeing a couple of these teams trying to play it safe, trying to just survive and get that placement point. But at the same time, we've got a few teams out here that are looking already really solid, and that would just play a relaxed gameplay and probably just take fights that they see around without having to worry about what's going to happen to them or whatnot. But another thing that is note of worthy right now is the fact that this is an exact opposite of the zone we had in the first round, Apache.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got an exact opposite zone here up in the northeast. Is going to give these teams a taste of what it's like to be on the other side of the map. So they've got a little bit of variety to work with here, which is going to be interesting to see. We've got Young Thunder over here with Solo. It's a 2-2 split for them, so they have to be careful that they don't get suddenly pushed by Samurai Bjorn and Diags here. Just got to make sure that they are keeping their distance, and that's exactly what they're doing, just carefully moving back towards the back of the compound, not taking any unnecessary engagements just yet, and just keeping a weather eye out for their opponent. Snake Owl's now coming into the vicinity to make sure that he's there for the support and make sure the team doesn't get taken down out of the blue. So far, nothing too crazy happening on the map. Everyone's just getting down into the thick of things, getting their loot going, making sure they're equipped for what is inevitably to come in the later stages. Snake Eyes taking position on the top of the roof of his building. See if you can spot out anyone in the distance. He should be able to spot out a couple of players if he's keeping a weather eye out here. So maybe we'll see a fight start to break out. But certainly it is going to be a little bit of a different flavor of an Erangle game here, since we've got a zone all the way on the other side.
Yeah, it's quite nice, the prediction IQ with the players that we've got out here. Like, you see a player move and you can see them already predicting 2 steps ahead what kind of movement that player is, and already taking actions, to counteract whatever the enemy is doing at that point. And most times it works out for them because it's just like this is the players have gotten so good and comfortable with devising on the spot plans and tactics that okay, these guys are actually damn near ready to get themselves into that Umzansi Esports League where the big guns are, where the big guys are right there. And definitely, when they finally get into that league, they are going to bring in the hits. They would make themselves known, as I was saying. And then right now we can see a lot of the teams here. Okay, RB6, UES, Raptors would have to get back into the zone pretty soon, as it's still, although it's still early on, but you would love to want to get that positioning real quick. I would love to actually keep an eye out to see which teams will be heading towards that Yasnaya angle. There are some really lovely spots just behind the Yasnaya that I've seen certain teams hold quite well, and I will be looking to see one of the teams in the lobby today will actually be taking those spots and using it to their advantage.
Yeah, not to mention that Yasnaya is kind of in the middle of the zones, which means it's a strategically strong position as well. So it would be quite interesting to see which teams decide to actually go up and take that spot, if any, at this point. Right now, we've got a lot of teams up on the outskirts. In fact, quite a few teams down on that island, which is making me extra happy. There's a lot of teams making me happy today. They just making that island look like an absolute party. And it is a party.
Yeah,
It's Patchy's party. It's the Patchy Points party. That's what it is right down there. Looking good. they have some time to play with. That blue zone is very slow in the beginning. It's nothing too threatening, doesn't do too much damage. The teams do have a little bit of time on their hands to work with. Not much, but it is a little bit more than they have a bit later on in the game, so they will use it to their advantage. Of course, they will have to make their way up in due course to get inside the safety of that zone. Nobody has made any motions to go towards the Yasnaya just yet. Everyone is content to just chill where they are at the moment, get their loot going, and make sure they are ready for the fights that are definitely going to be happening quite soon as they fight their final game for today, to put the points on the board and see if they can change what is happening, see if any of those teams are going to be able to boost themselves up onto that first page and make it that guaranteed slot in towards Season 5.
Yeah, Apache, you need to stop giving out Apache points to people that go to the military base. Because
Absolutely
now
not.
everyone ends up going everyone ends up going there. And then see Bridge Camp already happening, solo waiting to see if any of the teams are gonna be coming out right now. As you can see, Fair Esports probably spotted that and they are gonna also be waiting, but they are going to get quite a surprise because it does seem like the bot squad is also pushing up to move up towards that position, and it's about to get lit in that particular angle. The party is about to happen.
Yeah, things are certainly about to take place. I do not apologize at all for the bridge camping and the chaos that comes out of Military Island. In fact, I encourage it. This is my design. This is the ultimate goal right here. In any case, we will have to wait and see if any chaos does start to break out in that position. At the moment, we are all teams and all players strong. 16 teams and 60 players all chilling out on this map right now, getting ready for the final showdown of the day to make things happen. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, this is not the end of the road for the teams that don't make it into those guaranteed slots. So you can rest easy knowing that you'll be able to see those teams again in the future. Tomorrow, of course, the games are certainly going to be there, and the teams that made it up from yesterday's games will also be appearing there. So if you're keen to see that, definitely drop by tomorrow. It is going to be a fantastic final for Promotion Relegation series. But for now, we're going to have a look and see who is going to be going there, or who's going to be getting those guaranteed spots. Right now, some teams are moving down in from Severny in the south. Also, a lot of players and teams moving in. So you can see them, they're starting to congregate, starting to get closer and closer, and that means the fights are just on the horizon.
Yeah, it is on the horizon. The young Tongada cats, with not much of mobility heading for that boat right there to get themselves straight back into the zone. And I think Fair Esports trying to make those rotations, spotted them, and oh no, this is really close. You don't want to get knocked on water. I think that's instant death, yeah? Because once you get knocked on water, you're dying immediately. But anyways, they will be able to get out of that one and use some e-labels to support himself. But the next zone is really what I want to see, what is going to be happening. And well, it pops quite centrally. And yeah, a lot of the teams are trying to come in from that southern region. 7 scenes out of Killing will be coming right behind guys from Solo, IB7, not too far off on distance. We also be looking to make certain rotations around. They are just currently making their way out of that little potato hill right there, and I believe they've scouted their way into that zone. But Solo Dion is just right here. It's gotten a couple of shot beat into him, not looking too good in the loot region. Like, is looking no vest, no helmet, no e-labels. That is not looking good at all. So he's just switched on the survivor mode right now, and well, I believe there's no patchy points for that one though.
Well, only if he gets a really cool hide and seek montage, which we haven't actually seen in quite a while. It's been a while since we've seen a really skilled hide and seek player, but it happens from time to time. We'll see if that comes out, but I'm not crossing my fingers for it. What I am a little bit disappointed about is Young Thunder was in the boat moving in from the island, and they kind of got into Malta, and now they're going to be rotating up into the zone. I would have loved to see them pull a BBC strat and actually just go all the way around from the side, just out. It's the first blue zone, second blue zone doesn't do too much. I'd have loved to see them rotate around the entire map on a boat and go to Severny. That would have been really cool to see.
You would have it would have been really cool to see. But one thing I reckon they would have considered before doing that would be the flight power was actually really close to Seveni, so there is a chance that there are teams just sitting over in Seveni waiting.
True, true. But are you going to expect a team coming out from the beach? I don't know. You
Well,
have the element of surprise. We've seen BBC do it before. I'm not a fan of BBC for nothing. They've pulled some fast ones on teams over the years, over the months, over the weeks, and the seasons. They've definitely, popped a couple of surprising shots into players. And we actually saw a team using a very similar strat in season 4 to take their opponents off guard and really catch them by surprise. It works.
yeah, it
You'll
could
be
work.
surprised at how often it works because no one expects you to come from the
Yeah.
ocean because no one ever goes there.
Yeah, no one in their right minds would actually,
That's the
just
key.
opt to go for the option. But yeah, I could see it working, if you have that element of surprise, which means any team that is planning to use such strat is a team that is well coordinated and do not miss their shots. You get out there, you take really quick decisive action, and you get the teams, whatever teams or obstacles in your way, out of the way without blinking an eyelid right there, because once you hesitate for a short moment, that is going to be it for you. But right now we can see Inspector Archie. Look at that move, bro.
Yeah, he just hops straight out of the vehicle and just puts the hits in towards 7-OK. He takes the fights right into them. Inspector is unafraid. He's got the confidence, and the rest of his team is coming in to back him up as well. 7-OK in a little bit of trouble here. They might just get taken down right here and right now as they get absolutely swarmed in. This is the final few moments for Skull. He gets taken down, and I think that might just be the end of most of those players that you can see Mista and the rest of the team also under fire. And I think with that, Sahil just finding those shots that Kavir are desperately trying to escape. And I don't think they're going to be able to get very far. The Blue Zone's right up ahead of them as well. So 7-AOK has just run into more trouble than they could handle. And they have just gotten taken down one by one by one. Inspector with a really good start on that. And they just pushed it all the way to the end. And now Miesta is the last 7-OK player alive. And he is just pinned down. There's no ways he's getting out of this without a fight.
Yes, it's a difficult one for him, I must say. But one thing I would love to say again is Inspector with that flank was bold and beautiful, yo. Because it was the flank that gave them that opener. It went right around them, and the rest of his teammate was given the chance to actually make that pushing, forcing AOK to lose the little dip that they had right here. And yeah, you can see they are already packing up to make their way in. Leaving Mestre right now with not much of a mobility. You can see his buggy is currently just bleeding out right there. And Fear is going to be rotating around him. He's forced to just be in there, just chilling right now. And he's still 16 teams up alive, and this man has got just no kills. The team has no kills right now. Not an easy way to even get into the zone. It's at this point, it's not looking too good for Sevens inside of killing. But I believe if there's going to be someone that could, bring them up a little high on that placement point, it would be Mestre.
Yeah, and I mean, 7-OK is now in a really tough position because we're looking at a team that was vying for the top spots, top 8, and now we're questioning whether that's going to be even, a placement for them because they have got no points so far. And if they go out now, they will have no points, and so every other team could potentially overtake them. I'm not too sure how high up the leaderboard they were. I think they were top 3 or so, top 4 maybe.
I think they're second, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they definitely gonna want to try and put a few points on the board just to keep their position, depending on how these other teams that are around them do. Because I know that we were looking at teams like IB7, for instance, and they were doing quite strongly, and I don't think they're going to be dropping the ball. They might, but I don't think at this point they've given any indication of doing so. So it's going to be a really tough one for 7-OK. They definitely want to squeak this one out and survive as long as possible. I think Mista is going to have to snake it out. He's going to have to lone wolf this one and just try and snake it till he makes it into as far as possible just to try and pick up some of those placement points is all he can really think about doing. Maybe pick up a straggler here and there, but otherwise he is in a very, very tough position. And 7-OK is going to be holding thumbs just to that they make it in the top 8. Although not the most critical position. Logic actually going to get exploded with a very nice nade from Hulk there. Just a quality toss coming in from them. Just absolutely landing that one. No problem. Getting a nice knock and kill secured on that front. So we've gotten a little bit of action so far. But as we move in towards zone number 4, most of the teams are still alive, going strong, no problem. Now that zone is shifted up towards the north. going to force all these teams to rotate. And that means we're going to be seeing them put into some very difficult positions because, well, there's a lot of players still on the board. And there's actually the Elam on Mista. So that's 7 AOK done and dusted. Their hopes and dreams lie in the hands of everyone else on the board right now.
Ah, now, yeah, looking at this, I'm just looking at this map right now. It's so difficult to predict what is going to be happening right now. As we can see, BBCx is just going to be sitting dead center on that hilltop, but currently getting an hello. How are you doing from the guys from UAE? Just pushing up right from their eastern side right there. They need to cover the eastern flank, but they also have to be really, really careful as Raptors is also might also look to push up onto that axis, but it does seem they have Avoc on the job already. But Rain also is pushing up from that western side. A couple of damages being put into the bot squad as well. So it's a fight that could happen from so many angles. But something that is quite interesting to see right now is Team Somalia just gunning straight in for the center. And I'm yet to see any knocks on them, which means they are still up alive while every single person is trying to get that proper positioning into the zone right there. It's you love to say, but right now look at Whitey in that position I was talking about earlier on. Just right behind Yaznaya. I see Whitey playing from that position, Pachi.
Yeah, now let's see if they can make the most of it. It looks like there's an absolute party in center zone here, and it's Team Somalia rolling up on BBCx. They're looking for a fight, but it looks like they may have bitten off a little bit too much, a little bit more than they can chew, and they are feeling the pain now. Look at that damage. They just have no chance to fight back. It's an assault on all fronts. There's teams in front of them, teams behind them. They cannot deal with all these angles, and I think this might just be a little bit more than they can handle. They're finding themselves getting eliminated one by one. Kingerman and Zaha desperately trying to stay alive. Benji getting knocked inside the smoke, and there's the thirst as well. Just no chance for survival. It's just chaos as they try and keep themselves alive. Zaha going for the res, but at this point, is it going to be enough? I mean, just look at all of these players clustered in this area. The party just don't stop.
Yeah, no stop, non-stop party after. Oh yeah. So yeah, you can see it's party after party right now. UAE also coming in right there as BBCx is putting the shot in, but UAE is also coming to let them feel a bit of that heat. Yeah, device is going to be taking a bit of the damage right now, and a lot more team looking to actually make their way in towards that position as Avok is going to try to go back to the rest of his team to give some more cover as they are one man down, because when you are one man down you need to really rearrange to get the proper cover and cover every single angle. But on the other end, we can see BlackJack Esports putting a couple of shots into fear as well. This is popping off on every single angle. I think UAE has said to disengage from this fight. I don't know what they're doing, but it's a bit delicate to be moving around so much right now, because you never know. There's not too much space around there to just walk with. But right now, Raptors is just chilling up north, bro.
Yeah, they've just gone all the way up north. They're going on a little bit of a hiking trip, and that's taken them away from most of the action. So they'll be safe for a little while, but the blue zone is threatening to push them forward because that zone has shifted all the way down towards the south. Youngfun actually going to be really happy about that because they're just chilling at the moment down in their spot, right just up to the south of the zone, or should I say down towards the south of the zone. We've got UES over here. Fear is in a pretty bad position. Chris about to lose his life. Swag's not in a position to assist either. He's also quite low on HP. You can see that everyone is kind of moving forward slowly, bit by bit. BBCx still with their crosshairs terrain towards the teams in the surrounding area. Zaha has managed to stay alive with Kingerman. But man, it doesn't look like they're in a very easy position to stay in. I think they're really just waiting for that pressure to be relieved just a little bit to try and make their way out. Luckily, they're still inside the zone for the time being, so that's at least a good start. But now, can they survive there is the question.
Yeah, and they survived there indeed, because BBCx doesn't seem to be letting off the throttle. But man, Neon is putting in a lot of work onto the BlackJack Esports squad. He just took down two of them on his own. I will really be looking to get a squad wipe, or reverb is coming in for that support real quick. But as that is happening, we can see that BlackJack Esports is going to try to get back up really quickly, get themselves back up to but our Rainbow Six is on the receiving end damaging right now as BBCx is still raining havoc left, right, and center. You can see Havoc just down in that compound, holding every single angle while the rest of his teammates providing that oversight for him. The setup BBC has got right here is just amazing because they can do a lot from this position. But just as I've said, that Raptors is going to push up in into device, takes on a couple of shots into him, but it goes down really quickly. Moz is going to come with that support. The revives will be coming out in a bit. Not much that can be done on the device. Probably Havoc just pushes up exactly. And yeah, it's amazing at the moment how these guys are shuffling themselves so well to actually give better cover. This is one thing you said earlier on how the teams have like evolved to keep themselves calm even under so much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to come in critical now. It's going to help them super, super much because at this point, they're going to need to perform under pressure at every single moment. Eliminations going left, right, and center. Undisputed AE getting taken off the board. 8 teams left, and Havoc is going absolutely Havoc, picking up the kills all over the show. He's found one. He's looking for another. The DP comes out, and it is sending the shots down range. It's going to find a couple of hits, but it's Strix to pick up the kill. Now the res will come through, and BBCx are going to keep themselves and their team alive. RPT still up on the sideline, going to be quite strong as well. They've got all their numbers ready to go. TBS under a little bit of fire from BlackJack Esports, who has been laying down the kills and kill after kill getting pumped out. Now BBCx also picking up the kills. Now TBS under fire, and they're just getting absolutely eliminated. 6 teams now remaining, but the fighting is not going to stop anytime soon. BBCx need to make their way down into the zone from the north, but there's a lot of competition, and there's going to be a lot of fighting to see who gets that spot. You can see BlackJack Esports there in the distance. BBCx trying to contend for the spot. The damage is being done, though, as device goes down. Havoc soon to follow as RPT chimes in. Team Somalia also doing their bit, and it is crossfire. It is third parties. It's absolute slaughter here on the map at the moment as BlackJack Esports attempts to survive, but there's too many angles to worry about. Cheddar bopping and weaving, and he will find the elims there to stay alive. BlackJack Esports just barely staying in this one. BBCx now on the side. They are going to be receiving some reinforcements there of BlackJack Esports. Now have to contend with their enemies. Muzz using that DP to just lay down the law as the blue zone starts to close in. Things are about to heat up so much more. Havoc and Muzz got a lot of work to do. Strix also trying to push in with Neil, as they can see Undisputed just chilling on the sidelines, just waiting to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, Undisputed looking strong in that position, just spreading out a little bit over that little arch by the hilltop right there, looking towards Raptors, looking towards BlackJack Esport. But I hope they don't get overwhelmed when both teams decide to like make a push up or the nades starts raining down if they still have a couple of nades. But right there we can see, oh yep, the nades are coming out already, and BlackJack Esport looking strong on this one with about 10 kills to their name right there. BBC, I must say I commend them. They've been in some really tight spot up there, and they've been able to still stay up alive with 2 players, Avoc and Moss, trying to slug it out from BlackJack Esport, as BlackJack Esport is actually keeping quite a keen eye onto their position, making sure none of the BBCx players get out of their sight right there. You can see them confirming Avoc real quick, picking yet another kill point along the way. BBCx not looking too bad in the kill department as well, but it's just most left up alive right now. So Revive is finding the angle, confirming and taking BBCx out in 4th position right now. We are left with 3 teams. It's going to be Underrated Esports, Raptors, and the guys from BlackJack Esports. Who do you think is going to be clutching this one, Paji?
Well, I've already made my thoughts known in the beginning of this game, so we'll just leave it at that for the time being. Underrated Esports has a little bit to contend with. They've got RPT just moving up on the sideline, edging closer and closer. Dylan looking for a nice shot in towards Cheddar, looking for a bit of damage, and he's going to find it. Reverb has found a little bit of an issue himself as he tries to flank from the sideline. Now he's been isolated from the rest of the fight, and his HP is quite low, so the smokes come down, obscuring some of that vision and trying to make things a little bit easier to play around. It looks like Underrated Esports have a very, very strong spot in this zone right now. It is an absolutely critical area to hold, and they have been holding it very, very well. MG recognizes this problem, and he's trying to get a flank going, trying to find an angle in towards the team from underrated, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be enough at this point. I mean, it's a really tight situation.
Yeah, if MG actually was able to find that angle, it's going to be a game changer for them.
Yeah, it certainly will be. We'll just have to look and see if he can find it. Ooh, fellas, sneaking up. He's getting a little bit of extra information there, just seeing if he can do any scouting for his team, and it seems to be working out. He's got a little bit of info on the position of Strix and Neil. He can use that to his advantage. A little bit of sneaking. Oh, he spots out that head. That's a big pickup, but he exposes himself immediately, gets taken down there. That's a little bit of a problem for him. Gets taken down immediately. Fellas now trying to crawl back on the side. Zyrox in a position to defend on this hill. Very, very strong spot. Still held by underrated. And there's so many problems being caused at the moment. BlackJack Esports is just attempting to stay alive here. The smokes are just going down one after the other. Dylan is getting the res in, fellas. Should be able to get picked up here. Strix is still on the prowl, but it's only one player to worry about, so the res does come through. Cheddar taking so much damage. What a difficult position to be in right now. Underrated. They've just been holding this position strong, and it has been such a good position to hold all day long, or at least for the last few zones. It has proven to be quite a point of contention. I mean, this Bastion is so difficult to push through. Now, Strix, the last one left for his team, has a decision to make. Does he push in on BlackJack, or does he try and catch the UAES team out off guard? Oh, that's some damage done. Dylan finds MG. That could be the go signal for UES to push in towards BlackJack Esports. MG has been caught out off on the side. Dylan picks up another one. This man is just absolutely doing the work. That should be a pickup here, but he instantly gets clapped back by Cheddar, who's trying desperately to keep this team alive. Fellas and Xerox now on the approach, but Cheddar, can he handle the pressure? No, he loses the fight, eliminated, and there he goes. Out they go. Third place for them. Cheddar gets taken down and eliminated. Now Strix is next on the menu to be consumed here. UES, they've just leveraged their absolutely powerful position to their advantage. Now it's all down to Strix.
Yeah, it's all down to Strix. It's a 1v2 right now. How we're going to be seeing a clutch coming out from Strix. I like the fact that underrated esports is not underrating Strix at the moment. You can see them just trying to play it safe, trying to find the angles onto his position, probably trying to give him some sort of bait right now. As you can see, they are obviously communicating. You could see fellas looking towards Zyrox a couple of times, like, yo, I'll probably pop up a few times to try and see which angle this guy is going to come from. Don't do it yet. If you come out, he's going to get you. And then they go back and forth like, let's just wait it out a little bit. He's got to come out in a few, and you can see Strix is going to be coming out right now, and the shots will be coming out right there. That is going to be the end of the match, man.
Yeah, there it is,
Underrated.
the end of the match. Underrated is certainly underrated. They've picked up themselves a considerable number of kills. 13 kills in the pocket, a chicken dinner to boot as well. RPT picking up that second place, 5 kills in their pocket as well. And 12 kills for BlackJack Esports. They're in position at number 3, so certainly not a bad performance whatsoever, and in contention for the top 3 finishes. And certainly I think they have secured themselves that spot. We will confirm as we move in to the final leaderboard. But that is it. That is the end of today's games, and the teams that will be getting that guaranteed spot are about to be decided. The teams that will be having to go to tomorrow's finals are also about to be decided. We're about to see those results momentarily.
Whew, we're going to see some of the first teams already in the next season of Umzansi, either coming through from Inkosi or staying in Umzansi from season 4. We'll know who is going to be the first 8 after today. But while our admin team is getting all the the math and the calculations done in the background, Shadow once again just staying alive, making sure that he's in that situation, still making sure that they're racking up those points for the team. My goodness gracious, that's some dedication. So Viper, from your side, you say that this is just expected at this point.
Yeah, trust me, if you check every single final circle and you got BJE alive, it's gonna be Cheddar.
Well, that is quite impressive. We'll see if that's going to be enough to get them through into the Umzansi slots that are up for grabs today. So first, the top 8 from today will be going through to Umzansi Season 5. The bottom 8 will come back on Sunday. There's still opportunity. There's still chances for these teams to potentially get themselves in slot. But let's just rehash those standings from the last game. Patchy, if you would, please take us through it.
Yeah, underrated esports staying true to their name and being quite underrated, coming up with a surprise victory there. 28 points to their name. That is a considerable number of kills. Plus that chicken dinner, absolutely insane. They were able to utilize their position really, really well in zone. It was very strong, and you could see that just by the way they were able to play the map. So well done to them. Of course, BlackJack Esports taking that second place, 22 points for them, also picking up quite a number of kills there. You can see that the leaders of the leaderboard are always the teams that know how to just pick up those kills. They get so consistent with that, and you can see that time and time again. And GXP coming in that third place, 78 points. We've got BBCx in fourth, YT in fifth position, Team Somalia in sixth, Rain from Hell in seven, and Fear in eight. So we've actually got a healthy distribution here between our teams, 4 apiece on page number 1. Moving into page number 2, we've got the bot squad with 3, as well as Solo Esports, UAE, and Raptors with 3 points apiece. We've got Rainbow 6 and TenX with 1 point each. And 7OK and IB7 not walking away with anything, which, I mean, this is the kind of hit or miss that we're talking about. You know, when we look at these teams, we see, man, these guys are capable. You know, they can really drop some bangers. And then in the next couple of games, nothing. And that's what we talk about when we talk about consistency. You know, if you're going to hit those crazy games, then you also want to just stay a little bit consistent with that. You can't be going out with 0 points. That's just not going to help you at all. Of course, it has to be underrated esports with the MVP going to Fellas. 7 kills, 843 points of damage there, 26 minutes and 52 seconds survival time there. So once again, a well-deserved MVP there to Fellas, and of course, UES.
So, we've taken a few standings, of course, in our minds. We have a bit of an idea of what we should be seeing, but I still think it was so close that, you know, with those 4 Umzansi teams picking up those points, maybe that might shape up that final leaderboard. But without further ado, let's take a look at the first 8 teams in Umzansi Esports League Season 5. The leaderboard is ready, and these are your first 8 teams to grab themselves a spot in the next
100%
season.
100% prediction.
Oh my, just shush. BlackJack Esports, Underrated Esports, IB7, Sevenson's Arts of Killing, the Bot Squad, NGXP, BBCx, and Team Somalia. Congratulations! Wow. You are the first 8 teams to find yourself a spot in Season 5. Woo! Man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking
teams,
about
Patchy.
right there. Yeah, but I mean, I predicted BlackJack Esports would take the dub, and look at that. That's a pretty good dub right there, if I do say so myself. 100% prediction rate retained for Patchy. And of course, it does look like the up and down performance for a couple of these teams did cost them a little bit. I think if IB7 and 7AOK had actually been able to put more points on the board in this final game, they could have easily taken the victory here. But it wasn't to be. But they still make it through, so that's great. You know, as you said, these are the teams that will get that guaranteed ticket right across to the next one. And I'm quite keen to see some of these teams debuting in Umzansi. Moving on, of course, to the next page. These are the teams that will have to battle it out tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to have to come back tomorrow, face the top 8 from Friday if they want to have a chance to find themselves in the next season of the Umzansi Esports League, which means, unfortunately for them, they haven't quite yet started their journey in the next season. And again, of course, we will also be saying goodbye to the other 8 tomorrow who would not have made it, unfortunately. We'll have to come back through Inkosi to potentially get themselves that spot. But absolutely congratulations to the first 8 teams who have grabbed themselves a slot in the next season. It's absolutely well deserved. This is not an easy bracket by any means necessary. The promotion relegation is called the Grinder for a reason. Once again, just to remind you about that promotion relegation bracket, the teams from Group C and D, the top 8 teams that managed to win there, will be coming back tomorrow to face the bottom 8 from today. So again, you know, both sides, they have a little bit of opportunity. One has had to work a little bit harder for it, but they're going to be back here nonetheless. and it should be interesting because now it's a good mix of both some of the best teams from Umzansi and Inkosi and the best teams coming through from Friday's games. It's going to be interesting. Viper, from your side, are there any particulars that you think you should be looking forward to tomorrow? Do you think the Inkosi teams are not done? They want more slots.
Oh, definitely. They do want more slots, and they will get more slots. Not just want it; they will get more slots. But I'm also expecting to see some Umzamzi teams, to turn up and get back on the horse to get back inside Umzamzi as well. So yeah, it will work out for a couple of the Inkosi teams, and I'm actually favoring them a lot because once they get into the Umzamzi, oh my, it's going to be sweet.
I mean, it's the reason that the fourth season of the Umzansi Esports League has been so competitive. It's just the scene has been growing season after season after season, and it is not stopping anytime soon. So please join us tomorrow, same time, same place, for more promotion relegation games as we continue to find out who are the last 8 finding themselves a slot in the next season of the Umzansi Esports League. Brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. Shout out to all our producers, our observers, and of course our casters for bringing us this beautiful action. We hope to see you tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.